First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking each day as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BDE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you could never really know what's up next.
Hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for Up Next. You are listening to us at postwrestling.com or any podcast app you are choosing to use. And of course, we are
live on youtube.com/postwrestling. Hello, Postmarks. Happy Sunday. How we doing?
Yes, hello. It is Sunday. It is the Frogs Day. So if you are in the Post Wrestling chat right now, drop a frog. Hello, everybody. We are going to talk about Vengeance Day. Now, it's Sunday. A day has passed. We usually go live right after these things, thus the post show in Post Wrestling. But it's Valentine's weekend. You know, love is in the air, vengeance in the air. And we're better late than never, but we're here to talk about some NXT.
Yes, better late than never. I just noticed we've still got our Christmas decorations up on the screen as well.
Nice.
So late with that as well. But
is that mistletoe?
I think so. Yeah, getting
Valentine's.
It counts Valentine's Day for sure.
Yeah, just don't get any ideas, buddy. I don't know what you suggest.
Yes, with these, we've voiced our disgust of these Saturday night PLEs before. Some of us work on Saturdays. It makes it very difficult for us to be able to do, but we are here, and with Grand Slam taking place last night as well, we thought it's going to be a great opportunity to talk about both. So obviously this is up next. This is the NXT review. We'll be diving in deep about last night's Vengeance Day. But normally on Sunday, we host a little show called Poisonrana, which is our weekly wrestling news show where we kind of talk about everything that's happened in the week in wrestling, covering a lot of AEW. So as we're doing this show on a Sunday today, we're going to have a little chat about Grand Slam as well after our NXT review. So
absolutely,
stick around for that.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, we're going to be chatting all about some NXT as we do here. We do every Tuesday night as well here on Post Wrestling. So, but Sundays is our day where we chat all about the other wrestling going on, whether it's WWE, AEW. So give us a follow in your podcast app, search Poisonrana or go to Poisonrana.ca for all the links of the other stuff that we do, because we do talk about a lot of other stuff, not just NXT. And I'll quickly throw some plugs out, because maybe you are in the Toronto or GTA area, or maybe you're not, but you're flying in up north. I hope you're not flying today, because we're in the middle of a snowstorm right now, snow day, if you will. But maybe you're making your way up to Toronto, the Great White North, on March 1st for WWE Elimination Chamber. And if you are going to journey out into the cold up here in the snow on March 1st, hopefully there's no snow, maybe, just maybe, you will lock in with us on March 1st, 2 p.m. around the corner. Yes, like 5 minutes away from the Rogers Center, from the Sky Dome. We will be having a Poisonrana party with our friend, the folk icon, Ivan Rivers, going to be performing wrestling theme covers live for a Elimination Chamber tailgate, which is going to be a whole ton of fun. And I'm very excited about this and can't wait to see some of you fine folks out there.
Yeah, come along and let's see if you guys can sing Metalingus better than the Australians. It's going to be a lot of fun. This event is absolutely free. It's just around the corner from Rogers Centre. There are some great drink deals at Gabby's. So, get those drinks in before you have to pay like $13 for a shitty tall
$13
at the Rogers Centre. Pre-tax, pre-tip, all that. So, get those cheaper drinks in before you make your way to the Rogers Centre. And then you can just sit down, you can relax, you can watch the probably hours worth of commercials that WWE will have us watch in that stadium. But yeah, even if you're not heading to Elimination Chamber, we'd love to see you there because we love hanging out with you guys. If you are in the area, it's very easy to get to, if you're coming into Union Station or on the subway. We're by St. Andrews. We're not far from Union as well. So get on down to Gabby's, hang out in the afternoon. And we will be hopefully throwing the event on some of the screens as well. So if you are sticking around, we'll be able to accommodate you as well if you're not making your way to the Skydome.
Absolutely. We're looking to have a party. Lots of fans coming by for this big event. Like, lots of tickets sold. It's a big stadium show. So we're hoping to have some people out, and we just want to have a good time. That's our MO for this event. So we're going to be doing a sing-along with some WWE themes. I know Ivan's cooking some things up. And then we're going to have some wrestling karaoke going on, some prizes, maybe some games and stuff as well. So definitely looking forward to this. And if there is any postmarks, any Poison pals or NXT friends out there, we'd love to see you on March 1st here in Toronto. Come by, have a few pops. We will never refuse a free Guinness, as people always try to come up. Oh, I hear you guys talking about splitting the G and this and that. I'd love to. Hey, you know where to find us. March 1st in Toronto, in the city. Definitely looking forward to it. I see some people in the chat are saying, hey, I'm not even going to the chamber. Shout out NS. He says, I'm not even going, but I got to drop by. Yes, please come by. We would love to hang out with us in the city. I see Garrick in the chat as well, as per usual. And then I see RYN saying USA, USA. I'm assuming you're not just being extra patriotic, but maybe you're referring to the hockey game.
There was more action in the first 9 seconds of the hockey game last night than in any wrestling show that took place last night. So, yeah.
Who won the fight, though? Like, look, I saw US won the game. I think it was
2-1 because we had 3, right? I think it was 2-1 Canada as far as the fights go.
As far as the fights goes,
so, I'm going as who took the guy down to the ice.
Yeah.
And I think it was 2-1 for Canada there. So
that's right.
That's what that really matters, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So, you may have won the
battle. You Americans, you're thinking of, fucking with us, fucking with your neighbors up north. We can take you down.
Yeah, tariff us all you want. We'll show you. Yeah, no more maple syrup for you guys. No more the best wrestlers ever. You don't get any of those. No, all of them cut off. You're cut off from us. No more hockey. That's ours. You may have just beat us in this game, but the refs were probably paid off. So that's what you guys know how to do great.
Yeah.
Getting paid off and paying people off. It was in Montreal. I saw people were booing the anthem. I don't know if I'd necessarily be jumping in to do that. I do still respect my country fellow neighbor of America, but it was interesting to see that was the news coming out of this hockey game, was that more Canadians were booing the American national anthem. And I think that's maybe a little too far, but I could see some Canadians drinking a few Canadians and definitely jumping in there and saying, so come to Canada. Our eggs are affordable. I think, we love you, America. We love you, Americans. But yes, we're going to be doing that on March 1st. If you're in the Toronto area, we love supporting the Toronto wrestling scene and everything. This Thursday, you can catch Demand Lucha in Parkdale at Parkdale Hall. Unfortunately, I can't get work off, so I don't know if you're still going to the show, Davey, on Thursday. So if you are,
planning to, yeah.
Oh, excellent. All right. Well, Jordan and the guys at Demand Lucha always put on a great show. I think they got Fuego del Sol, Gringo, and a few other great stuff on the card up there. So always a fun time at Demand Lucha. And that's not the only show, because then on Sunday, next Sunday, the 23rd, Northern Crown will be doing their show. We had them on last week to promote about it. And our new friend Gigi, he was awesome. And he talked about the WWE ID and how that came about, and Josh Alexander, et cetera, et cetera. So you'll find us there next Sunday at Blood Brothers, and look up Northern Crown on Instagram for more details on that, because last show was killer, and we'll definitely be having a few blood lights at this Blood Brothers brewery on Sunday. And I swear, last plug here, but if you like what you hear today, you can support us by going to patreon.com/poisonrana. It's only $5 a month, and you get access to lots of shows, including episode 6 of The Champ is Here. We were joined by PW Torches, Will Cooling, Rich Fan, WH's other tag team partner from Post Wrestling here. And we talk all about John Cena's 6th title reign in the WWE. This is our 6th episode. We've been going through every John Cena title reign. It's been a ton of fun. We've had some fun guests on, and Rich and Will We thought we were going to be torturing them by making them watch the I Quit match between John Cena and Randy Orton. Turns out maybe they had a little bit of a sick enjoyment rewatching this stuff. So we had a great chat with these lads.
Oh yeah, I'm really enjoying this show. It's like 2009 WWE is such a blind spot for me, and for very good reasons, as articulated on this podcast. Not the best time of wrestling, but that doesn't mean it doesn't make for good conversation. And yeah, we're working our way through all these title reigns of John Cena. 6 are down, 10, at least 10 more to go for the rest of the year as we head to what looks like Boston in December, rumor has it. So really enjoying this show. Can't wait to chat about Reign 7, which includes the hour-long Iron Man match.
Yeah, you thought the I Quit, the Passion of the Cena, as Rich put it, was bad. If you thought the Hell in a Cell was boring, wait for an hour-long Iron Man match. So we have to figure out who we're going to invite on for episode 7, because this is some punishment in some countries.
Who has a lot of time on their hands right now?
Yeah, who's got a lot of time on their hands? Who wants to watch an hour-long John Cena feud for that reign? But yes, that's a show that you get on our Patreon. We did a review of Royal Rumble 2002 recently. That was a recent show. And then we had Brandon from New Jersey on to talk about his pick, Best of the Best, about Eric Roberts. Well, Brandon kind of joined us. I'm pretty sure he took a nap halfway through the show, but that was a great chat to talk about what some consider a classic martial arts film, and I know Cobra Kai is running rampant and all that stuff. So it was great, a film in my blind spot that I've never watched before. So both of us. So it was
absolutely fun. And then we have quite a daunting task next week on the Patreon.
Is this happening? Is this legit?
This is happening, and I'm gonna be very honest with all of you right now. I'm kind of terrified about doing this review,
right?
Because the time has come where we are going to review The Godfather Part 2.
Wow.
And I know there's kind of lofty expectations with that. And neither Braden or I have ever seen this movie. And we're very well aware that a lot of people consider this one of the greatest movies ever made. A lot even preferring it to Part 1.
Jeez.
So I am kind of terrified going into this review, watching it for the first time, gonna be giving our thoughts, and people gonna be like, oh, you missed this and this and this, for a film they've probably seen 100 times over the last 30 plus years. But I am very excited to finally get around to seeing it. You know, the weather is fucking miserable outside, so best time of year to sit down and watch a 3-hour long mobster epic. But yeah, I'm both excited and fucking terrified to do this review.
So we have a Patreon, and it's $5 to become a friend, where you get access to all these shows. But if you are a world champ, a family member tier patron, like our friend and family Mahmood, who I think is the one who selected this, right? Now we reviewed Godfather Part 1 like a few years ago, so it is on the archives on our site there. But we've never reviewed this movie. I've never watched this movie. I've seen Godfather a handful of times, and like, big fan. I've just never gone around to it. So this is a big one here. Not only do we have wrestling reviews, but we have an offer that you can't refuse. For $5 a month to become a friend at our Patreon, you can pick up the podcast and leave the cannoli behind. But this is going to be a very big week on the Patreon, reviewing Godfather Part 2.
My theory is like Sean Spears shows up at the end and takes out Al Pacino. Is that how the film works?
Yeah, Nunzio buys the company. Stax is there. Or Stax is from Goodfellas, I think. But there is definitely some ties. Yes. So it does kind of tie in with NXT and the mob affairs and everything. So yes, very excited to look at The Godfather. So our Patreon is all over the place, and you can be a friend or family. Patreon.com/Poisonrana. Go check us out. You won't be let down. There's hundreds of different shows, wrestling reviews, movies, and so much more. Because I mean, we haven't said what we have next week, Davey. This is a too big fucking week. Okay. In 2 weeks, I'm just gonna say it now. In 2 weeks, we're going to the Rogers Center, the Sky Dome, baby. And I thought, why don't we do a show looking at the last time WWE or WWF were at the Sky Dome? So in 2 weeks, on the Poisonrana Patreon, Davie and I, for the first time ever, will be reviewing in full WrestleMania 18. Oh, brother.
Oh, yeah. Booker T, Triple H. Let's go.
Wait, no, that's 19.
Is that 19?
Yeah.
18. Oh,
18 Toronto.
Triple H Jericho. Yes,
Triple H Jericho. Yeah.
My bad. Yeah. I'm another match that shouldn't have main evented, but
right.
Yes. Rock Hogan. What else have we got on this show? Is that Flair and Undertaker? Is that 18?
Flair, Undertaker, Booker T and Edge for the shampoo commercial.
Right, that's right. Yes.
Big year. Yeah.
I'm excited. This isn't one I've watched a whole lot of, actually. I think 17 and 19 are definitely still my favorites. And this one is it'll be an interesting show to watch, especially revisiting Hogan Rock, which I haven't actually seen for quite a long time.
It's been a while watching that match back. I think the common quote is always like, "Oh, have you watched that match on mute though?" And it's like, it's a different match, but you know what? It's a lot of fun. I think that WrestleMania, I wasn't there, but I'm from Toronto. I rep this city, but I was not at this event. But of course, I've watched it a bunch. But definitely looking forward to looking back at it because I think this Mania is a little overrated, just a little bit.
I don't think it's rated that highly.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think
maybe because it's Rock Hogan, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of people like that, but in general, I think being sandwiched between 17 and 19, I feel a lot of people are like, 18 was okay.
So there you go. We have some great podcasts over on our Patreon and Poisonrana.ca for links for everything that we do, and appreciate all the listeners and supporters out there. Maybe we can jump into some NXT right now.
I think so. I
think we can do that. Let's jump in and talk about NXT Vengeance Day 2025. Oh yeah, from February 15th. 2025 from Washington, D.C. We're on the road here at the Care First Arena. Care First, Davey. Care First,
strike second.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cage Match tells me that this was attended by 3,849 people there. A nice crowd. People were very excited to be here. They knew everything what was going on. They knew the characters. They seemed
another great looking venue, I thought. Yeah.
Pretty cool looking spot when they've been doing these like on the road specials for NXT. I think it's been working really well for them. So I like the look of this thing. It looked like they did in fact put care into this this arena and this crowd, and they were really lively
throughout and for a lot of the characters here.
And I think like for the last few weeks, of course, every Tuesday we talk about NXT. I think we've been talking about how like this show didn't have the biggest hype for us necessarily. It didn't have maybe some of the buzz a lot of the other ones. But then when you go into something maybe with lower expectations, when the show is good, which usually the PLEs are pretty good, match quality and everything really, on the higher end. Like this show, I feel like it surprised me with some things that we'll jump into here. We start things off with Vic Joseph, Booker T, and Corey Graves, or should I call him Victor Joseph, like Booker T keeps calling him, or should I call him SmackDown's Vic Joseph?
Our boy Vic, I thought did a fantastic job on Friday. I remember way back when he was calling on Raw, and he just really didn't seem to fit in there. Got moved back to NXT, and I think you and I were kind of hard on him for a little bit, didn't quite know the names of moves and stuff. And his voice didn't maybe have that kind of resonance to it. I think he's fantastic now. And I thought he seamlessly filled in on SmackDown. He knew everything going on. Obviously, he has that history with Wade calling NXT. So I thought they sounded very good together. I thought Vic sounded great. And I'd love to see him get another shot on the main roster one day.
Absolutely. I think he's someone who's really stepped up in NXT. And like, I'm not saying being tagged with Booker T is like an ultimate test, but at the same time, he's been killing it with Booker T, who a lot of people aren't as high on as me and you are. Like we like to say, or I know I like to say, we get beaten into submission when we watch NXT week in, week out, when I know a lot of people do not. And I feel like Booker T and Vic Joseph have completely grown on me. Like I love them as a team.
Yeah, I will say Booker, like as ridiculous as he is, I think a big issue when he came to NXT was he clearly hadn't watched this product at all before filling in. So there were a couple of guys, he did the old JR, like, oh, this guy reminds me of this guy who I actually do know. And oh, I taught that girl, so I know her and I can tell you a lot about her. Whereas obviously following this product week to week for a couple of years now, he knows everything that's going on. And sometimes we mentioned on Tuesday, he's even schooling Corey on what's happening in NXT. So I think that's helped. I think he still is a little bit like Marmite. Like, you either love him or hate him, and his like overbearingness can be too much. But I feel for NXT, which can be kind of goofy, it works. I wouldn't necessarily want to hear him calling, you know, Cody v Roman or like your big main roster stuff. But for NXT, he definitely works.
Oh, he's going to finish the story. Shucky ducky quack quack. Vic Joseph. Okay, so, you know, disclaimer, we weren't watching this live, and I stayed off my phone. I was Ted Mosby trying to avoid all spoilers here. It wasn't that hard, even though there was 2 wrestling. I didn't get spoiled on anything, which is always a plus, because it does matter to me. But this show started at 6 p.m. and I feel like a lot of people did not know that. I feel like we didn't even know.
I didn't know that.
Because Vic here is saying that there is all these people trying to get in, and as the show is kicking off, and he's like, hey, like, people are still lining up to get in here. I'm like, yeah, because I bet you they didn't think it started at 6. And like, we do wrestling parties in the city all the time, and WWE lately has been flip-flopping not only the days, Saturdays and Sundays, but the times from 8 to 7 to 6. So sometimes people show up at the wrong time, like, wait, what do you mean like 3 matches have gone by already?
We had it with the Rumble, like, it's like 5 to, because that started at 6, right? Like,
I think it started at
7,
6, maybe 6.
Yeah, 6. It was like 5 minutes to go, and the bar was half full, and we're like, we're sold out. What's going on? And then people are starting to show up, and which is weird because WWE in the past have been very good at just hitting your head over with the fact, like, if there's a time change, if there's a day change or channel change. And like, I wasn't aware. Like, yesterday I was scheduling all the tweets, letting everyone know, like, this is our feedback thread, we're going live tomorrow, that kind of thing. And I just did it all with the assumption it was starting at 8 o'clock. And, you know, I follow pretty closely. So yeah, kind of a bit of a fail there from WWE, where I think they're normally good at this promoting stuff, but we're creatures of habit. Like, for decades, it's been 8 p.m. on a Sunday. So to then start changing it at 6 p.m. on a Saturday, like, I'm not surprised a lot of people weren't aware of this.
And they have, I know this because, like, I was trying to avoid things, but I had messages from people being like, hey, like, multiple people who were not talking to each other, like, hey, wait, the show already started? And I was like, no, don't talk to me about the show. I'm trying to avoid things. And then people were like, yeah, it started already. And I was like, oh, at 6? Okay, that's interesting. And I mean, this is Washington. Are they not, like, even behind us? I can't remember if they're the same time zone necessarily. My
DT, right?
Yeah. So, like, I'm assuming it's the same time.
Yeah, they're Eastern Standard.
Yeah. So it was at 6. And then, like, just jumping ahead here, they do announce WrestleMania weekend Stand and Deliver is at 3 p.m. So write that down if you're looking to watch that show. 3 p.m. on the Saturday, meaning that show's going to end at like 5:30, and then you're going to watch WrestleMania right at 6. What?
I don't know.
Last year, I was mad that I had to wake up hungover as shit. I had dragged the corpse of my body to make it for that noon show. It's like 10:30 their time, or 11 or 12 their time.
I mean, it's WrestleMania weekend. Like, as long as SmackDown is on a Friday and Mania's 2 nights, like, when else are they going to do this show? So it's got to be a daytime show at this point. Unless you did like Thursday or something like that, which is stretching it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be a tight turnaround this year for sure.
Holy moly. So stay tuned for programming, because that's crazy. That's like, there might not even be a point to do a show after if there's not enough time. So we might not be doing it right after, but we'll still talk about it.
I feel Sunday day, I think, and then we can talk about WrestleMania Night 1 as well. I think that will make the most sense.
So we go to the first opening matchup here at Vengeance Day. It's for the North American Women's Championship. The champion, Fallon Henley, with Fatal Influence, with JC Jane and Jasmine Nix with the face mask still on ringside. And we see the challenger, Stephanie Vaquer, makes her way out here. A cool like Titantron with the devil horn thing that like with the
like the ram's horns, right?
Yeah, it looked pretty cool. We see Jada Parker, Carmen Petrovic, and a few others. I think Kalani. Like ringside, kind of watching, scoping out this title picture because they all kind of been beefing with each other. When things start off here, Stephanie gains control of Fallon and puts her in an STF. Very nice. Unlike John Cena's STF from 2009. It's a very nice STF. However, she continues the attack and goes after Fallon with like almost like a back suplex or some sort of suplex where Fallon like effortlessly counters this into an armbar, which I thought was great. However, they come back and the ref is like distracted by Fallon, and ringside JC hits this boot to Vaquer and sends her back in as the crowd start to chant, "Ref, you suck." And then Fallon hits a blockbuster for a 2 count. I know Booker T was losing his mind. He's a WCW guy. That was a big WCW move, the blockbuster. But it's not enough to keep her down. Fallon gets tripped up into the ropes, and Vaquer hits the 619 and then the crossbody. She's got one of the best looking like flying springboard crossbodies, I think. Eventually goes for that face smash. Booker T now losing his absolute mind. So is Washington. The best move in wrestling, as Booker T says, he has to take his scarf off. It's getting too hot here in DC. The Meteor and knees in the corner from Vaquer, but then again, the referee is kind of distracted, and this is when JC and Jasmine try to get involved, but Steph this time like steps them and then hits a super kick to both of them, and then hits like a face buster on Fallon on the apron, does the crossbody to everyone on the outside, sends Fallon back in the ring, hits that backbreaker, the angel something that we've seen that we're not too high on as a finishing move. Well, I think she heard the discourse because she doesn't use that to finish Fallon. She goes up top and then hits a picture perfect looking corkscrew moonsault and new North American Women's Champion Stephanie Vaquer as she beats and takes the title away from Fallon in 15 minutes, 1 second.
Yeah, very good opener, I thought. This was exactly what I was hoping for. Fallon Henley is someone I've been such a fan of in-ring wise. I really don't think she's had her moment in NXT. I believe this is her first singles match on PLE. I think maybe not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like it was really her time to shine here, and she did. And she's up against one of the best in Stephanie Vaquer. And yeah, I liked the amount of mat wrestling in this match, and not all of it was smooth and seamless, but it almost made it feel more believable. Like there was always a struggle from going to like each submission to the other, trying to counter it. And I thought that worked really well. There was some cool innovative spots like the angel's wings on the apron, and again some of those submissions like the transition to the STF from Vaquer. Really happy she's added that spiral tap now for a finish, because that like butterfly backbreaker thing can work great as a setup move. It just doesn't feel like a devastating finisher, and we've been saying that for a while. So having that as like the nail in the coffin, I think works really well and is a spectacular move to see. Yeah, I was very high up on this. I'm pleased they got the right amount of time. 15 minutes, it didn't feel shortchanged at all. And I kind of wonder what's next for Fallon Henley.
Yeah, no, I echo, like, I thought they got a lot of like technical stuff in there. We've seen Vaquer in the short amount. I mean, everyone we watched the match before with her and Mercedes, and everyone was like, who is this person? This person's great. And then she swooped up here in WWE. And as soon as she's given the opportunity, I think she comes across as like a superstar, from the look, from the moves, from like everything. So I think she should do the Angel's Wings also, like with the similar like looking setup and everything. But they called it a spiral tap, but I don't know if like usually the spiral tap is when you land like a senton almost.
Yeah, she landed on her back.
Yeah, I thought she looked like more like either way. It looked like
I'll have
beautiful.
to rewatch.
Yeah, it looked awesome. So this is definitely like a great addition to her move there and her finish. So I thought this was good on the higher end, like one of my favorite parts of this show. Actually, we're big Fallon Henley fans. If this means Fatal Influence goes up to the main roster, I'm not quite sure, but
yeah, big time Baxter in the chat is saying very good women's match, and got to imagine Fallon either gets called up or moved to the NXT world title scene. Yeah, I'm not sure, because the world title scene seems quite like spoilers going ahead. Jordan Grace shows up at the end, and goes face to face with Giulia. We've had the teases of maybe a Vaquer, Giulia, like champion v champion match. I wonder, like there does seem to be, I feel Cora might be sticking around in that division a little bit as well. I'd love to see Fallon challenge Giulia. I think that sounds like a great match, but she's also been in NXT quite a long time. She's had a run quite successfully as a babyface, run quite successfully as a heel. What else is there left to do unless it is being the women's champion? And I don't see that being something they put on. I feel JC Jane is someone who can move up as well. Jasmine probably still needs time in NXT, so I could see perhaps moving JC and Fallon up as a tag team post-Mania.
All we need is Fallon with this cowboy hat and the cow coat star written all over. She's one of my favorite women's wrestlers. I think like a dark horse, and people always kind of overlook her, and even in her time here in NXT. But then she goes out and has an awesome match with Stephanie. Like I enjoyed this match between Fallon and Stephanie more than both of the Giulia Roxanne matches that I felt we got kind of robbed because it was on TV and everything.
Yeah, it was a shame we never got that as a PLE.
Yeah,
and
like
maybe it's something main roster one day we can get. But yeah, I agree.
Like this totally like overshined that. But this was just 15 minutes straight. Like no break and nothing, and that's like that makes me love this match so much more. So
I'm watching Stephanie's finisher again. It's more like a Phoenix Splash, right? Yeah, she does land on her front there, but
yeah, it's like a moonsault. Like it's crazy.
Perfect. Yeah.
Very, very nice. Vic and Corey were talking about how she is the first ever South American born champion in WWE, meaning like she's born in Chile, right? So I'm assuming, we've had Mexican born champions, but I don't think we've had
Mexico's North America.
Yeah, it's North America. So interesting. Very, very cool. So World Wrestling Entertainment yet again. But I think we got a big star with Stephanie Vaquer in WWE. Yes. And I'm not overlooking Fallon because I do genuinely think she's great. So whether Fatal Influence like stay together or she goes up to the main roster by herself, I think she can like prove that the cream can kind of rise to the crop there, because I thought this match was really, really good. This is better than a lot of dudes matches that we've watched on NXT in the last little while. So I really, really like this. 15 minutes straight, pure graps. This is what I like from my NXT. We go backstage. We get a video here of Josh Briggs and Inamura. We saw when Josh gave Inamura the vest. He's like, welcome to America. We all wear biker vests and we listen to the Village People. So sons of Inamura, sons of Briggs are born here as they have a championship match in just a little bit. We get a commercial for Let's Fucking Go. Is that what it's called? Is that what it stands for?
That's what I'm calling it. Yeah.
Yeah. Legends, Future Greats, I think. I'm not sure.
Yes.
And then we also see Tubi with Evolve on March 1st. And I heard that they're going to be crowning the Evolve champion on their first show. So I'm going to have to check that out.
Shouldn't Josh Briggs go down and defend it? Isn't he the current reigning champion of Evolve?
That's not a bad idea. That's something that you could, or he at least like gives it away to,
at least for a first match. Yeah. Like something to do there.
Yeah. Very cool that they're doing these kinds of things like Tubi and everything. Like WWE definitely that net getting even bigger. I have some interest in seeing at least what it looks like with the first episode, especially.
Yeah, me too, for sure.
We see a Odd Couple promo here from Sol Ruca and Zarya. Now we've been talking about everyone's favorite tag team of Sol Ruca, the chillest NXT superstar there is, with Zarya, the monster who week by week just more and more becomes less of a monster. And Sol and her are kind of friends and a tag team partner. And Sol said that this weekend on Tuesday, she said, we're going to go to the beach. And, team bonding, essentially what they're doing here. So we see them playing volleyball. She tries to teach her how to skateboard and do a handstand. And it's pretty much like some Charlie Brown music playing here as they're like not getting along. And then Zarya's ice cream cone falls off. So Sol gives her the other way around.
We've been negative about this the last few weeks, but this was like the final straw.
This was it for you?
This was it. This felt like this would have been funny. Like Kane about 5 years into his career, when we've done taking him seriously as the big bad monster thing. And then you'd see him do comedy skits like this, where he's trying to eat ice cream or he's trying to volleyball or something. But they've done this mere weeks into this girl's run, and it just made her look like such a dork. I hated this in every single way possible. Like, it's fine. I really don't mind the kind of cheesy team building vignettes for like new tag teams, but not when you see the potential of a character like Zarya when she came in, and watching her with the womp womp as her ice cream falls out of the cone and things, and failing to hit like, she's from Australia, right? Like, she should know how to play beach volleyball. Come on. This was horrible. Zarya needs to kill Soul Rooker on
destroy
Tuesday.
her.
Like, it's like now. Like, I don't care about building this friendship, so there's a level where I care about Zarya killing her. Kill her now, because she's killing her career at the moment, continuing with this shit.
Like, I think we've explained that, like, this has to be the reason why, is because there's too many cooks right now with the women's division. We're talking about, like, hey, where should Fallon go? It's like, yeah, look, like, we already got Giulia. We already got Vaquer in here. We have Roxanne, who's leaving, it looks like. But then we have, like, some of the other talent, Jordan Grace coming in. We got a lot of things already in place, where Zarya came in like, cool, we brought in all these new people, but we're not quite sure what to do with you because we need to keep you on the cooler until we're going to like elevate you. So right now we're going to have this, but eventually I do think it will lead to like she just turning on Soul and absolutely crushing her and destroying her. What is this tag team name though? Is it going to last longer than Y2AJ? What was the name here? Because when it was Soul and Carmen, I think I was saying the Sword Surfers or something. I can't remember, but
yeah,
what would this one be? Because Zarya is like, what is her character? Like just a monster?
They really haven't established it, have they?
They haven't really. Yeah.
It's apart from those awesome vignettes building up to her debut and a pretty cool entrance. Like, I don't know, the Oz Snatchers. I don't know
I don't know because I don't even know what the names of her moves are. The F5 and a spear. So like it's not like
we don't need to give these two a name. Like end it now. It seems like we're maybe in the minority because the
you're a hater.
Magan saying Zarya Soul was some wholesome shit. I don't need wholesome. Fire Frank saying, I had to say I kind of love the skit. It might actually get her over. But what do I know? I don't know, Frank. You're the longest reigning BDE champion of all time. So
like it's wrestling, so we're so used to this kind of stuff. But I guess we'll see where it leads to. I just want to see Zarya like as this heel like monster. But in the meantime, I want because her Titantron, her entrance video is those vignettes, right? Like the Marvel movie slow-mo destroying people. I want the same sound effects, but I want the video Titantron now to be them skateboarding, surfing. I want this vignette now edited into their Titantron.
You need like the blue, like bright blue, sunny, surfy waves, and then it turns red and parts, and Zarya comes out like a demon from hell.
Yeah, part the sea. That could be their finishing move. There you go. We're getting closer to whatever this is. We're getting closer to it.
Sean, if you're looking for people,
isn't this kind of like, hey, Kyle O'Reilly, Von Wagner, what are you guys doing? What are you guys saying? You guys kind of hanging out in the park?
Bit. Yeah,
you're hanging out in the park, huh? You're just, what is it? You're just out there. That's what we are with this team. Maybe we like it. I think you like it selfishly. You seem into it. We see Eddy.
I mean, as always with this show, I get beaten in submission. So these will probably be my favorite tag team in all of wrestling.
I'm sure if you listened to us 2 years ago, we're like, what the fuck is Chase U?
And we'll have skits of them sat down knitting together and just all sort of stuff.
Yeah. For the record, I don't think I said it, but for the record, I didn't say I missed Von Wagner, but I do.
Yeah.
We see Eddie Thorpe backstage. He's got his strap. He's ready for the strap match later tonight. When we see Trick Williams, he's getting ready because he's getting a lineup on his face here. I'm assuming because this was Washington, it wasn't the same guy who does Lexus King face, but Trick looked good here.
Sure.
Looked very nice. We go to our next match. It is a NXT Tag Team Championship match. The tag champs, Nathan Frazier, FRAXIOM, defending against the team of Yoshiki Inamura and Josh Briggs. And we cut to Josh Briggs Inamura and their new manager, tag team partner, I don't know, some dead guy, some skull on the shoulder of Josh Briggs. That
Looked
seemed to
like
be
Briggs had
smoking.
been a Dollarama that day. I'm pretty sure we've got this skull somewhere, and he just super glued it to his shoulder.
I need to say that we're about to. I know I am. I'm about to praise this next match because I dare I say maybe my favorite match on this show that we watched here today. And we support. Or what are the kids? We stand Josh Briggs here at upNXT. But what was with this smoking skull, mate? What was this? This was interesting. It was like, how do we like change up? You already gave your tag team partner a vest, but now you have a smoking skull. For a second, I thought I was looking in a mirror. I was like, whoa, what is? Oh, it's just a skull smoking. Okay.
I don't want to sound mean. Like I really do like Josh Briggs, but there are a handful of wrestlers who are just not cool. And no matter what they try, it's just not cool. And I get that with Briggs a lot. Like the vest, the skull. Seems like a really nice guy. Really good wrestler. I enjoy his stuff.
Yeah.
But there's always something about the look, you know, the Green Lantern tattoo, the leather vest, the plastic skull on his shoulder sat there like a parrot. Like there's certain things that just don't really work. And yeah, that's
again, like I really do think he's an underrated talent. I think every time he is on a PLE, he's stealing the show. Like we usually are like, oh, this was the best match of the show, and he's involved in it. NXT rated their own match of the year being that triple threat match from Stand and Deliver, which I thought he was doing the most in. He was the one who was really like bringing it. So I thought his kind of, I don't know where, I can't remember where he's from, but like his gear is like Texas tassels, kind of old school on the pants. Those were fine. That was fine. You know what? I'll even pass the vest. Wrestlers like to wear vests. Stone Cold wear a vest is fine. But the skull was a bit cheesy. I am a Halloween decor enthusiast. You know very much. You were my roommate for many years. I got some better looking skulls in my closet than this.
You have way too many skulls.
I have way too many. But I have way too. I take that however you want. I think this was not the most coolest entrance look. But we love you.
Okay, look at where he's from. He's from Arizona. I've never heard of this place, but it sounds pretty cool. From Bullhead City.
So get the other skull. What's the Arizona you guys love?
Well, he's from Bullhead City. Shouldn't he have like a bull skull on him or something?
Yeah, exactly.
That would be cool.
Yeah. All I'm saying is everything else was great. I just thought that skull just looked very like dollar store. So it's on fire. Maybe he just lit it on fire and that's how we came out here. But the skull is on fire and Briggs and Inamura make their entrance here. PLE debut for Inamura. And they are taking on the NXT tag champs of FRAXIOM. And these guys like start to go at it where they're like shoving each other. Early on, Axiom does a kip up, but as he kips up, he is booted in the face by Briggs. I thought this was pretty cool. Eventually, he goes for like a choke slam, but then choke slams him onto Inamura's knee, like a combo here. Inamura tags himself in and starts hitting these like sumo strikes and chops in exchange. And this is where the crowd, who maybe some people didn't know who this guy was, but after this like little exchange, they all were definitely in support of this guy. He was doing the chops, all the strong style, like chops and kicks. And then Axiom is like trying to fight back, but he can't like necessarily gather the strength after just getting his chest caved in here. But then eventually hits this like running super kick, golden ratio looking thing. This was a great spot in the match.
This looked great. Oh, they replayed this so many times. This is the golden ratio to Inamura, right?
Yeah, like pretty early in this match.
Oh, this looked great. Like the timing and the snugness of this just looked like it kicked his head off. And yeah, this looked very, very good.
It reminded me of when you play the video games. I know when we play against each other, where it's like I'll be spamming my hits, my strikes. I'll be chopping you, punch, chop, kick, and then you're just like, I can't beat this guy. Fuck it, finisher. save myself, finisher. And then he like finally makes the tag to Frazier, and then Briggs tags in. So then these two are going at it. There's Frazier with the standing star, but then gets caught with like I think he hits Briggs with like almost like a Houston hangover type looking move. I thought for sure Briggs got popped in the mouth, but then it turned out that he was just really good at selling, because he's selling his face and then he comes back with this huge choke bomb, like choke slam into the power bomb here for a 2 count. However, there's then another double team where Briggs backdrops Frazier into a powerbomb from Inamura. Again, another crazy combo. Up top, Inamura gets hit with the Spanish fly. There's then an avalanche chokeslam to Frazier into AXIOM from Briggs. This definitely got the crowd going mental here. There's a huge lariat and a fall-away slam, and then AXIOM hits a Poisonrana, and then Inamura catches both members here, like AXIOM and Frazier, on his shoulders and does like a spin around. He fakes that he can't do it, and then he strengthens up. He powers up here and slams both of these guys down. Very impressive. I'm not saying Nathan and AXIOM are small guys whatsoever, but I couldn't do this. And this was this is still two human beings that this guy was slamming and throwing around at the exact same time. So the crowd now have learned this guy's name because they are chanting Inamura here. He goes for his frog splash, but misses that. Briggs is up and then eats a moonsault to the outside, which allows the tag champs to tag back in, leaving Inamura alone as they hit the high-low. But this was like a super high-low, like off the top rope to hit the high-low here for the 1, 2, 3, and still tag team champions here in NXT, Nathan Frazier and AXIOM, as they beat Briggs and Inamura in a pretty awesome tag team match.
Wow, yeah, like this only went 10 minutes and had so much in it, and I didn't feel shortchanged at all. FRAXIOM, the chat going off about how the Young Bucks won the 2024 Wrestling Observer newsletter award for Tag Team of the Year. Like, clearly those people were not watching NXT because there wasn't a tag team that touched these two in the last year, in my opinion. And I am still not tired of this run because I just love how they're putting, and I don't care if they're makeshift teams at this point, just have these against as many teams as possible of different styles of wrestling and sizes and strength and all that stuff, because all of them have delivered for me. And this was one of them. I thought Briggs and Inamura were great. Like, they're obviously, heavy, hard hitters, but both have the same level of speed that they can keep up with FRAXIOM. I loved the spot because there was a point I genuinely thought like Briggs might have broken his nose or something. Selling from the 450 splash. But I loved how that fired him up. So then he just fired up. He hit that crazy, his choke slam into the powerbomb just looked great. There were so many cool moments in this match. Inamura, when we still haven't seen a whole lot of him until now, I'd say, and his like chops and elbows look stiff, bringing in some of that like Japanese strong style here. And then just FRAXIOM, the speed and precision they have is just so exciting to watch. And I love that they're finishing matches in multiple different ways here. They finished with the high-low here, which we haven't seen before. So you've now got that kind of, these matches could finish out of nowhere from anywhere. So I just think this is such a treat every time watching these guys perform. And whereas before I've been like, it would be cool to see them drop and move up, as much as I think they seamlessly fit into that SmackDown division, I kind of just want to see what other teams you can throw at them in NXT, because this run has not grown stale at all for me. Great match.
Absolutely. Like, these two, every time they are on the show, they're stealing the show. And this time they met with Briggs, who I was saying, he kind of does the same thing. So I thought Inamura and Briggs worked really well. They hit some great combo stuff. Like, you could easily keep them as a team. We were kind of saying the last few weeks, like, when we knew it was going in this direction, like, this will be the show stealer. This will, and for me, this was absolutely the show stealer. In 10 minutes, this was the show stealer for me. And like, I don't want Briggs and this guy to break up now because I liked what I got to see here. So continue these guys as a team. Why not? I thought Inamura,
you could always rematch this, or even do, if at Roadblock you want to do like a triple threat tag or something else. If you want to, like, I think there's still like unresolved beef with OTM and Briggs and Inamura. So you could maybe do like a kind of 3-way thing there. But I would still keep them in the picture for now.
Yeah. Well, after the match, there is a shake hands of respect, sportsmanship, and they're all shaking hands. The crowd are going mental, saying, hey, what a match this was. When, wait a second, who are these guys? When a bunch of people, the lights kind of flicker and everything, and the team that we've been seeing, the TV barcodes, as we were kind of calling them, the hackers who aren't so hackers, maybe more so the Shield, because these guys show up and attack these teams here. They take out everyone and they disappear out out through the crowd. But it won't be the last that we see from these mysterious attackers. But yes, the new team making their way. We don't know a name yet. Some of the faces look familiar. Dion Lennox, I think, being one of the ones that was actually named on screen. But so if you're wondering,
they mentioned Dion Lennox and Cutler James, and I didn't catch them mentioning other names. There were chants here of who are you?
Who are you?
But last time we saw Dion Lennox, he was frustrated with all his losses and, you know, reading too many books, I guess, and was throwing shit around backstage. So a bit of a repackaging for him, which I think is good because I have seen potential with him in ring, just very bland character-wise. So we'll see if this can bring anything out of him. It's very much a kind of Shield / Nexus kind of deal, like them just running roughshod over the whole show on this one, even with the look, with the face masks and the all in black, kind of very much Shield vibes. But these angles sometimes work. We see how it worked for the Shield and for a short amount of time for Nexus. So we'll see where they go with it. It's obviously a lot of kind of like, it's a lot to put on these guys who have been, you know, like performance center talent, next in line, those kind of things, not really established outside of WWE. So we'll see. Fire Frank saying Saquon Sugars and Osiris Griffin were the others.
Cutler James, Dion Lennox, Saquon Sugars, and Osiris Griffin. Yeah.
But yeah, we'll get into them a bit more later in the show and see, maybe theorize a little bit more what's to come from this group.
Sierra Hotel. Is that maybe there's something there with those masks? Very, very Shield like. Maybe they're just a Shield fan stable.
Yeah,
we haven't gotten that in wrestling yet, where it's like someone's just a really big fan and continue their gimmick just because we could. So they attack those guys, but that's not the last we will see. We get a video for NXT on Tuesday where Stax is very upset. He's alone at the table here, and he says that he's going to be taking care of some business because it'll be family versus family. And this Tuesday, I'm going to take the head off the snake, referring to Sean Spears, the head of the learning chair, versus Stax on Tuesday night. So family v family, Davey. This could be
family v family. Yeah, I liked Stax, you know, sitting at the head of the table here for this one. Tony obviously being taken out, but definitely getting the sense of Stax kind of maybe taking over the reins of this family. So interested to see if this is a development into Stax kind of stepping up more in this family. But yes, him versus Spears. Unfortunately, I don't see Stax winning this one because I do think they're gearing Spears up for the North American title match. But I hope we get a good showing from Stax because we have a soft spot for Channing Stax Lorenzo here at upNXT.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely an underrated talent, I think, in NXT, and like he's right now still attached to this mafia family character. But if Tony were to go up, like Stax, I think could, you know, evolve and change which way, whichever. But like I think he's pretty good. I can't say having Sean Spears on NXT in a match has my excitement. I can't lie and say that I'm interested in that, so I'm not. Some people in the chat are saying, I think Andrew in the chat saying that maybe Stax is turning on Tony D. I don't think this would be.
I could see it post this Spears feud. I think we're now we've built a bit of tension between Stax and Tony. You know, Stax the other week, where were you? And he's like, oh, you guys can't do this for yourself. And now Stax, while Tony's out of commission, kind of running the ship. I think once, you know, if Tony does lose this North American title, or if he retains it, you were theorizing Stax versus Tony stand and deliver for this title, which is something potentially you could do. I feel it's coming after this Sean Spears feud will be the Stax Tony feud.
Yeah, we'll go back into like, you know, the leader of the group, of the family, and I'm sure we'll get more Godfather references and all sorts of fun stuff. So it'll be good. But please, no more Sean Spears. We go to our next match. It is a strap match. I know it's around Valentine's Day, but strap match would mean a whole lot of different things to a different group of people. The strap match here today between Eddie Thorpe and Trick Williams we start off with Trick making his way out here. The crowd in Washington, very excited about Trick Williams. I think the theme song and the entrance definitely helps get the crowd behind this guy, no matter where they go, because it seems to still work. Booker T going off during the entrance, as always, making it even better. I don't know. I haven't watched a video yet, but I hope Booker T is in the game in 2K25, because like you would need Booker to be doing this in the entrance. It would definitely add to it, I think. Eddy Thorpe comes out. He's got the strap ready, but before they can even get strapped together, Eddy attacks Trick, but then they start to brawl, and Trick kind of gets the upper hand, and then he's like, put this damn thing on. I'm going to beat the hell out of you. So they start to go at it as the match officially starts here. And Trick goes up the top rope, and then Eddy would pull the strap, and Trick would go flying off the top to the mat. And then the same thing would happen to Eddy Thorpe, and they're kind of going back and forth. They're whipping each other with this thing. There starts to show some welts on both of their backs here. Eventually, though, Trick uses the strap and like wraps it around Eddy and gets this pretty nasty looking STF with the strap here, just like kind of bending him back as Eddy is pretending he's going to tap, but then gets the ropes, and the ref is like, hey, it doesn't really matter. You have to tap out or not. But eventually Eddy gets out of this, and then gets hit with the flapjack from Trick Williams for a near fall. And then Eddy uses the strap when Trick is kind of like, I guess it's legal because the ref sees it, but he low blows Trick using the leather strap there. So swings it up in his balls and then hits the trick shot, I think, sort of,
yeah,
kind of hits it and pins Trick Williams to a very quiet crowd, a reaction of boos, and a camera cut to a fan in the crowd just being like, what the hell was that? What?
Like, why?
What? Really? And yeah, 10 minutes, 58 seconds. Eddy Thorpe pins Trick Williams, elevating Eddy Thorpe, sure, kinda, and definitely damaging the return of Trick Williams to championship status. This one definitely didn't hit for me as much. I thought it was pretty cookie cutter copy paste of like, okay, now you go up top and I'll throw you off the top rope. Okay, then I whip you with it. And then now there wasn't much creativeness in this strap match compared to like a whole lot of other ones that we've seen in the last like 5 years of wrestling, and just in general, like off the top of my head. So it didn't leave anything memorable from it. And then the finish was just so like unbelievable. It didn't look good. I mean, unbelievable, like in a bad way. Like that was it. He barely connected with that move and had to pin him after that. So it didn't hit for me whatsoever. And like I kind of said, I think this damages a bit of the star power of Trick Williams. If he is still going to be your main event of Stand and Deliver, maybe he won't be after this, but I wasn't looking forward to this match. Maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it didn't do a whole lot for me.
That's kind of where I am with it. This was the match I wasn't looking forward to on this show. I went in with very low expectations. Both I find very underwhelming in ring a lot of the time. Trick carries a lot of things through with his charisma and promos and that kind of thing, and just connection with the crowd. Eddy definitely has improved since being the whiny heel, but there's still something lacking from his in-ring work. So I thought the match was actually better based on that. But you're right. It was very by numbers. The only kind of creativeness I really thought was the finish, like the low blow with the strap. And I thought they could have done more use of the strap, not just whipping each other. But I like when you see people trying to work out how to do their moves when attached to someone and that kind of thing, which I think when I think of like the dog collar match with Cody, like he was always good at that. The Punk MJF match, they were both very good at that. I'd say even Eddy Thorpe's strap match with Dijak was stronger than this. It felt like it had a bit more brutality at least. And the result just puzzling. Like we figured this was a bit of a rebound for Trick, that he's on his way to Stand and Deliver. We do still have Roadblock if they want to go there, but you know, this is essentially, yes, he hit a low blow, but it's a anything goes match. Like,
yeah.
So essentially it's a clean win here for Eddy. And I don't see where you go next with Eddy. I don't want to see him anywhere near Femi again. Like that ship sailed as far as I'm I'm with it. And I wonder now whether Trick will be factored into the Stand and Deliver main event. We have Ricky Starks now, if that's what he's called. But maybe there's a change of plan. Like Trick, I feel, what else is there to do with him in NXT? I mean, he can stay there and try to improve his like ring work, but that's something he could maybe do on main roster as well. And I just think the Carmelo act will feel a lot more complete with Trick Williams attached to it on the main roster. So I don't know, and I felt this was how the crowd felt. And saying again, this crowd were great because I thought Eddy had a lot of heat here and a lot more heat than maybe he deserved. So it was actually quite a hot crowd for the beginning of this match. And then the end was just, I felt a lot of people like, oh, wasn't expecting that. And why? And does that mean we've got to sit through more of a main event Eddy Thorpe push, which none of us want?
Yeah, I'm not booing your effective heel work, sir. I'm booing you because I did not like this match, and I'm upset that they continue to push you. Like Eddy's not even that bad. Like he's not. It's not anything that. It's just nothing doing it for me. Like Trick is not the flashiest in-ring performer, and neither is Eddy. They're both kind of doing better stuff with their character and their promos and stuff, more so than the in-ring stuff. So. Yeah, maybe not as bad as I thought this was going to be, but it really, I didn't like it. And it's like, now does Eddy go towards Oba? Does Eddy go towards the North American title? I don't care really about that. You mentioned having Ricky Starks in here. Like Ricky, you could have him spin off against one of these guys in one of his big first feuds, right? Like that's something that you could go towards.
Maybe that is it. Maybe it's Eddy and Starks for Starks is big. You know, you give Eddy a win. Yeah. So he's somewhat elevated, so Ricky Starks can beat him and come in with a big win. I don't know. Unfortunately, there's just no combination of Eddy Thorpe with anyone that I'm going to be interested in at this point. And he's been in NXT, 2 years?
Yeah. Well, we go backstage. Cora Jade getting ready for the championship match. They say that this will be the main event tonight between Cora, Bayley, Roxanne, and Giulia for the NXT Women's title. We see Bayley getting ready as well. And then we see a clip from last Tuesday. Don't say his name. He shall who not be named. The man with no name. Don't call him Ricky Starks yet, at least. It looks like they'll be calling him Ricky Starks. I think they're doing this gag just to do this gag. It looks like that's definitely his name's not going to be Trill London, okay? If it is, I'm done. I'm not even done. I don't even care. I'm over griping about wrestlers' names because every time I did it before, I would get over it really quickly. Yeah. So it's like whatever. I don't even care that the guy's name is Cope. I'm like, whatever, man. You're
I don't know.
That one's bad. That one's bad. Don't get me wrong. That one's bad. But I'm just like, I don't even give a fuck. You're Ricky Starks. You're whoever. Ricky Starks, or don't call him that. He has a little promo here as it shows the clip of him making his debut in the crowd on Tuesday night. We talked about it on Tuesday, all about it. And here he is. He has a promo in some sort of parking lot. Ricky, I know you're new here, but please be careful. If that is in fact an NXT parking lot, blinders on. Don't be just out in the open like this. He says that he is a superstar and you know who I am. And that this Tuesday he will be there live on NXT to sign his contract and hear the absolute truth from the man himself. So still not saying his name, but that's okay.
I feel it is a bit of a kind of maybe a bit of a gag from WWE where they're not announcing his name, but also the speed of this signing. You know, he got released from AEW the day before and then shows up on NXT TV. So actual things we know. Like a lot of people who have kept their names in WWE, it's like they license their names to WWE so WWE can use it for merch and stuff. So it could be actual like things haven't been finalized yet with that. Like Ricky Starks has signed as a performer, but there's possibly still some legalities like, okay, are we owning your name? Like, what are we doing here with that sort of thing? And the same with how they debuted him. I think they wanted to debut him to, just capitalize on that news that he's been released. Let's get him out there right away. But, he's probably sorting through Def Rebel shit track number 1.mp3, Def Rebel shit track number 2.mp3 to decide which shit track best suits Ricky Starks. So there's all that kind of stuff. But I imagine we'll have, you know, the contract signing, maybe even a gag like, oh, and what am I signing my name as, or things. But yeah. Ricky Starks is a cool name. We know him as that. I think it adds more star power to him, being someone who's come in with a bit of a name, a bit of a buzz. They've done the same with Jordan Grace. They've done the same with Ethan Page, Jade Cargill, etc. I don't see them renaming this guy as, you know, whatever nonsense they churn out of their generator. And in general, I'm just very excited to see him in NXT because the men's division desperately needs him.
Like, I'm not sure if it's his shoot name, but like he owns the rights to this name. So
he was Ricky Starks before AEW.
Yeah, he's using this. Like he's going to be using this name. I assume we could be dated by Tuesday night, but we'll talk about it on Tuesday. I just love how big of a splash all these guys jumping over to WWE. It seems like when guys jump over to AEW, they don't make the big. They make a really big splash right away, but it fizzles out pretty quickly. Whereas in WWE, they usually like, oh look, this person jumped over, and then they work them up, and then like becomes something like pretty good. Like AEW, dare I say, is the best developmental there is for WWE. Let's look at this.
NXT used to be the best developmental for AEW, like,
and it's not anymore. AEW is the best developmental for WWE. You got Cody Rhodes, you got CM Punk, you got, I'll say it, Lexis King, you got Ethan Page, Ricky Starks, Penta. Like the list can continue on, but those are the big ones that come off the top of my head. It's like, man, they don't even need to like tell you or create their character. They assume you know it. Essentially.
I think though sometimes there's a little bit of that. Like it's, you want to make the opposition look attractive. So if you see Brian Pillman Jr., who is really AEW Dark most of the time, the odd feud with Malachi Black or MJF on TV for a brief thing, going over and being made something bigger, it makes it way more attractive for other talent who are looking to leave. And vice versa. I mean, we will say like Ricochet, it's the most interesting he's ever been.
Sure.
The Hurt Syndicate are working. There are lots of people that AEW have made good use of. A whole lot that, you know, your Miros and Malachi Blacks, etc., that they haven't. But I think in general, like I feel both companies should want to be, when they get someone new, it's like, this is what we want to do with you, and repackage you and make you feel a bigger deal. It's healthy for all the wrestlers having two companies like this.
Absolutely. Like obviously WWE is still WWE, and I'm sure there's so many people that like that is their end game no matter what. Like that is the be all end all, and totally understand that and see that. Like the writing on the wall, Ricky Starks, for a while we all knew like, yeah, this guy is going to WWE. He's been showing up there behind the scenes. He's been going to these shows. We saw him at WrestleMania. Like he's not made it necessarily like hidden that like, hey, I'm affiliated with Cody. I'm a Nightmare Factory, all that kind of stuff. So like it makes sense that you thought that he would be jumping ship, and that's clearly why Tony was like, I'm not putting you on TV because reasons. But the guy wants to wrestle. He's not necessarily like NXT young, you know, like he's in his early 30s. I think he's 34, but like he could easily right away jump to the head of the card here. And we've been saying for months now in NXT that it's just been stale. The men's division, yeah, wow, the women's wrestling in NXT is top of the world. Yeah, that's true, but the men's division has been really lacking when we're talking about main events with like Trick Williams, God bless him, but like the wrestling hasn't necessarily connected. And we had Eddie Thorpe being thrown in the mix, Femi winning the title in like a weird, like wet fart of a way. So it's like the men's division lately has been struggling and lacking. So bringing in someone like Ricky Starks like instantly makes something a bit more refreshing, like igniting something. So push him all the way to the moon. I know we did that with Ethan Page, and maybe it didn't get to the level that maybe some people thought, but I think Ricky is a hell of a promo and a hell of a wrestler.
I think he's a bigger prospect than Ethan Page. Like Ethan Page can have a great like Miz LA Knight level run on the main roster, but I see maybe a little higher for Ricky.
So Tuesday, Ricky Starks will be signing his contract. We will be seated. We will be talking all about it on Tuesday night as well, right after NXT. But we go to our next match. Ethan Page taking on Javon Evans. And we get a recap here, a great video package for this feud. We're talking about Ethan Page and how he was trying to find his smile. Instead, he stole Javon Evans by smashing his face with the chair, making him bleed all over the place. And we've seen The Rock getting involved, talking to Ethan Page on NXT weeks ago. And we see clips of Javon's doctor telling him, like, hey, maybe you shouldn't, but I'll clear you anyways. And then last Tuesday, Ava, the GM here, the final boss, says that Ethan injured you and you shouldn't be wrestling, but Javon, you have to sign this liability waiver. Yes, wrestlers have to sign liability because they could hurt themselves when they go out there. Independent contractors, something about
again
that.
I feel these waivers are probably for every single match you're in, right? Like
I think Vic Joseph got a kick out of this because as soon as he's making his entrance and they're talking about this, Vic brings up, hey, Book, did you ever have to sign one of those? And Booker's just like, let's not talk about that. I don't want to talk about signing liability waivers. So we thought going into this match for a few weeks that we would be leading towards some sort of unsanctioned match because, I mean, the guy's jaw is broken through the wire, right? But instead, it's a liability waiver that he has signed. Not that exciting. Not that. So there is disqualification. It's a normal match, but no liability match. is what this is. Right away, Javon is on the attack on Page. He's upset. He's been at home. He's been waiting to get his hands on Ethan Page and getting vengeance because that's the name of the pay-per-view. So here he is attacking Ethan. He does this huge dive outside the ring as Ethan tries to evade him. I thought this was crazy as they brawl all around the commentary desk. The crowd are like really getting into this. There's a suplex from Javon in the ring into a pop-up, and then they start to fight up on the apron, and Javon hits them with a cutter onto the apron. But then Ethan gains control, and we saw him injure Javon's jaw, but we've also seen him injure Dante Chen's ankle a few weeks ago. So he goes to do this on Javon, smashing the steps onto the foot and ankle of Javon. So now he switches gears.
No mention of doing this to Cedric.
Right. Yes, of course. Yes.
They're like, he did that to Dante Chen. It's like, sure. Yeah. Okay.
So Javon now is being attacked in the jaw and the foot here. So Ethan Page starts like attacking it, stomping, and then hits a power slam and then an ankle lock here. Very effective. Very nice. I'm sure Shamrock and Angle would approve. Eventually, though, Javon gets out of that. He hits him with like his own like springboard kick, and at some point, Ethan Page is busted open, I think, in the mouth here. So it's a jaw for a jaw here, it looks like, in this liability match. We get the crowd chanting "Fuck you, Ethan" chants. They definitely wouldn't allow this on. What channel are they on again? The CW? Yeah, they definitely wouldn't allow that. But fuck you, Ethan chants on a WWE show. Crazy. Ethan hits the Ego's Edge, but Javon kicks out. Eventually comes back that spring kick, and he's just firing back at Ethan Page here. And this is when Booker T says, this kid, man, he's prolific. I assume Javon has recently worked a reality of wrestling show. Maybe he's the champ. I'm not sure. But Booker T, you know what? I like Booker T. He really shows his support for this younger kid, Javon. So I like that. Javon now sets Ethan up and stomps on his face. So now more like jaw for a jaw, if you will, because he stomps on his face and his jaw. Eventually hits this huge dive, goes for the cutter in the ring, but gets punched in the face. His mouth guard goes flying out, and then allows Ethan to hit the twisted grin or the twist of fate for the 1, 2, 3. Ethan Page is a liability and puts the liability of Javon Evans to bed in 11 minutes, 59 seconds, and defeats him here as it cuts to yet another fan in the crowd being like, what the fuck? What the? I was just so upset. I'm known, if you go to wrestling shows with me, I'm known for, or watch wrestling, I always put my hands on my head like, what? It cut to someone doing that. So, another heel back-to-back winning here on Vengeance Day in a bit of a pretty fun match. I liked how they he was going towards the injury and the jaw and everything. But what did you think?
I think this is Ethan Page's best singles match. since coming to NXT.
Yeah.
Really got into this, and we were surprised there wasn't any kind of stipulation added to this. But I thought they wrestled kind of a brutal and hate-filled match enough that it didn't necessarily need those things. What I'm really impressed with Javon Evans is he's got a bit of Will Ospreay in him, where he does these spectacular high-flying moves, but they look devastating. Like he hit like this like flying Superman punch in this. His his Ospreay like handspring flipping kick, which connects. Whereas I think a lot of high flyers, it's like, yeah, it looks pretty that you're twisting in midair, but it doesn't actually look very effective. And I think Javon's got this thing where his strikes look crisp, and I just love the way this match started with Javon just flying at Ethan, taking him out across the table. Like, I thought it was very, very entertaining. And I think Javon, I think there might be a worry that from some that he's losing a bit too much. He loses a lot, but I think his character is so likable. I think he's so exciting to watch in ring. And the fact that he's not dropping down this card at all. He's in like upper mid card matches all the time against these guys who are just more established than him. That I don't think he's losing anything in these losses. So yeah, I thought Ethan Page was good. I've always liked Ethan Page as the bully when wrestling, you know, tossing guys around, being stiff with people. I think that's why him and Darby's chemistry was always so great, because Ethan's happy to deliver it and Darby's happy to take it. And I got a little bit of that out of here, which was lacking in his feud with Trick Williams. I'd say by far Ego's best match in NXT singles wise. I really did enjoy this one.
Yeah, Ethan Page, since being this like more sadistic, evil guy, kind of bent on injuring people and hurting people, it's been the most interesting thing since coming to NXT. Like, even him as champion was pretty like paint by numbers, a few catchphrases. Now it's like the Ethan Page that if you were familiar with some of his work before, like this is the stuff he was doing. He was known as a big promo guy, and his wrestling has like improved. I'd say this wasn't my favorite match on the show, but I think, like you said, the best match that he's had in NXT thus far, maybe outside of that 4-way from Heatwave, but that's a 4-way. This is a singles match with Javon was also in as well. So Ethan like will definitely be fine on the main roster in WWE. Like this character works so well for him. And I think him winning gives him a little bit of the edge here. Like you could have him versus Oba Roadblock. Yeah. You could go back to like some direction because it makes him more like sinister, more meaningful, if that's the case. And Javon, like, I love this guy so much. He's so exciting to watch. And you could rematch this again, potentially. You could add the unsanctioned gimmick, like the no DQ thing and stuff like that would make, you could do a rematch of this. I think it could go that direction.
Yeah, big time Baxter in the chat saying if Ethan loses, then his character will be all talk and not being able to back it up. So yeah. I do think this was the right booking decision because Ethan has had a change in character. It establishes him as a serious threat, which was something he never was when he was champion. He was a bit of a comedy guy. And it does protect Javon because Javon's got this serious injury. And it was as soon as he cracked him in the jaw, it like worsened that injury and it caused the loss. So it's always something you can go back to in a few months' time where Javon's like, hey, Doc says my jaw is 100%, right, and I'm coming for you. And then you can maybe get your win back that way. Yeah, exactly. Like he's still injured. He shouldn't have signed that liability because now maybe they're not going to cover his doctor bills. Potentially. I don't know how those things work, but yeah, it shows Ethan Page after the match, like walking away. He had some blood in his mouth or on his face, but Javon, he must have put another capsule in because he was spitting out blood again too. So the jaw is re-injured. Poor Javon. Like at one point, I think Javon was like could have been slotted in as the main event for Stand and Deliver. He's so young, but again, the most exciting guy in NXT to watch. Like he's just so flashy in ring, but I'm happy that I'm kind of happy he didn't win. So we're not just getting closer to him leaving NXT because they could just go, hey, he's so young and so good. Let's move him right away. And I think he's a big part of it right now. This was pretty fun match. And I wouldn't be mad to see it again with like
gimmick, weapons and all that kind of stuff. But good stuff. Something else that like wasn't on this show, but that definitely comes to mind, that some of the reports out there, I'm pretty sure it was Fightful, talking about Josh Alexander. And it looks like we won't be getting a North reunion anytime soon, because if it looks like that Josh Alexander may or may not be signing with AEW Wrestling, which I'm sure some people are like, oh, but what about him and Ethan Page and this and that? Maybe, we talked about, maybe they're not on the same page. Maybe they don't want to be a tag team partner. Maybe they don't want to do that. I think Josh will be fine no matter where he lands. And selfishly, we watch NXT. We cover a lot of NXT. Would have loved to see him being like thrown into the mix here and everything. But also selfishly, I also still love watching AEW, and I feel like there's going to be some big matchups that we'll get to down the line. And we need a Toronto representation in wrestling right now, because Josh is the only one we really got going. Him and Adam, the Cope, like Christian, like Toronto, we need some new blood representation. So Josh will instantly be that guy for no matter what company he's in.
Yeah, there's some matches I'm very excited to see. Obviously, like a rematch with Ospreay. He's had some incredible matches with Ospreay in the past, matches with Omega. Like there's a bunch of guys who will have great matches with. My worry always in AEW is just being lost in the shuffle. And because we see it a lot, shiny new toy comes in and then gets put on the shelf. And but it does open the door for things like Japan. I don't know if a G1 is something that a Josh Alexander would want to do. It's something I'd want to see him do, because I think he could have an awesome run in a G1. So they're things that are opportunities that he wouldn't necessarily have in WWE. I just feel, as we keep going back to this men's division for NXT, could really use a Josh Alexander. And I don't think AEW necessarily needs a Josh Alexander. But if you're throwing those match graphics up of Josh Alexander v this guy, Josh Alexander v that guy, of course, take my money. I'm very excited to see it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, my honest opinion is, man, we cover NXT every week here at Post Wrestling, and it's like we watch a lot of it, and the men's division has been suffering. Having Ricky Starks already is like, great. We need something. Give us anything. And he would be like, Josh would be a great, like, in-ring wrestling, like match every week would be stellar. And like having him being brought in would be very exciting. That doesn't seem to be the case. And him going to AEW, that opens up so many different, like you said, so many different match opportunities and everything that I'm bummed because I won't see him on WWE, and I think he's an incredible talent. But I'm gonna be thrilled to see him on AEW because there's so many matchups there, and like New Japan, like think about it. There's a lot going on over there, and I mean like not a whole lot going on. I know Goto, shout out Goto. That's a match you could do. You could do Josh versus a ton of people in there. You mentioned G1 and everything. Like I think that's something that he's a wrestler, like wrestler's wrestler. Like I think he's a wrestler first, sports entertainer second, and I feel like him clashing with a lot of those guys would be something that we might be seeing in the near future. So I'm pretty thrilled about that. And just getting to see him wrestle on a bigger scale is awesome. So we will always be the North, true, strong, and free. But no matter where he lands, I'm definitely excited and we'll be watching.
For sure.
The walking weapon. We cut away to a video package for LFG. And here is Braden BJ Ray. That's right.
This is he's the guy that's been making the rounds with Bubba Ray, right? Online.
Oh, is it this dude? Yeah, we've seen him on NXT. I think
so. I think he is. Yeah.
We've seen him on NXT. He's been punked out by like some of the wrestlers and stuff backstage. So BJ, he says, I mean, first of all, this guy's name is Braden, even though he spells it with a Y. That's okay. But Bray, I mean, it's the right way to spell it. I don't know what my mom was thinking, but Braden here. So I'm already a fan. Braden's got to stick together.
I'm all about getting rid of those unnecessary letters, like not spelling my name Dayvid. Like David. Yeah, you don't need the Y. Get the Y out.
It's just then people always, when you shorten my name, people will be like, oh, it's Brah. Yeah. So people call me Bray anyway. People call me Bray anyways. That I'm like, I wish there was just a Y in it. But Braden BJ Ray here. I like this name too. I like BJ Ray. He's the one. Is this the video clip you were talking about? Bully Ray. Apparently he wouldn't shake his hand.
Yeah.
And he's upset by this. Bully Ray's like, no, I don't shake anyone's hand. Like, just, dude, you're doing a show with him.
He's like, I'll respect you when you're world champion. It's like, okay, bro. So I'm never respecting you, Bubba, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Bubba Ray, he makes it hard to be a fan.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I mean, come on, all of this, like, I'm sure we know there's elements of truth with this with Bubba Ray, but it's also putting it on, right? Like, for the show.
Yes, Bubba Ray Dudley. We see some other people here. Xena Sterling. I think this girl, they show this woman.
Was she the Ukrainian, like, Olympic
machine here?
Gold medalist?
She went 24 hours on a like workout elliptical machine or something like that. That is like, that can't be safe. That sounds very dangerous for your leg muscles, but crazy machine looking woman here. I can't wait to see what she can do. We see this other guy, Anthony. His claim to fame is, hey, you know Maxine Dupree? Yeah, that's my girlfriend. that was his here. TMS, this woman got my attention. Tyra, she says that she's an Olympian gold medalist, but on top of that, she was just like, so like in the 10-second video here, she was the one that stood out to me. Not just because they said she was a gold medalist winner, but like all these like accolades, being athletic, being very like charismatic and everything. So definitely someone to watch there. TMS, I think she was going by. And Elijah Holyfield, son of boxer legend Evander Holyfield. So an interesting little class here. Very crazy. Nuts.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching this show. I was always a fan of Tough Enough, and it looks very similar style, but with actual people that they have, already signed essentially. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this. They've been pushing it hard across this week, especially on Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and got even more clips here. I feel like I've watched episode 1 already, to be honest with all this, but yeah, it definitely has my attention, and especially Mr. Dupree. Got to see how he gets
Rene Dupree?
Maxine's boy.
Right. Mr. Dupree, right. Oh yeah. I'm looking forward to BJ Ray.
Sure.
I don't know where
he's world champions.
I don't know where that guy's from, but me thinks Florida with a name like BJ.
It's Florida
Ray.
or New Jersey, isn't it? Like it's like
Jersey, yeah.
Yeah,
BJ's,
it's the
right?
shore. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm a fan of BJ Ray already. So big fan.
Yeah, future world champion. Oh my god, BJ Ray!
He's done it.
He's done it.
And then we see Bully Ray getting in the ring. Like when Cody brought out
shakes his hand.
Yeah.
Finish the story.
When Cody brought out who did Cody bring out? Bruce Pritchard?
Bruce.
Yeah, BJ Ray. It's gonna bring out Bully Ray.
Bubba, you back there?
Shake my hand. I want to shake your hand. Anyways, that's our
Bubba puts
preview.
it through the table to get the heat back.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
Watch LFG. It'll be as good as what we just talked about. We see Stephanie Vaquer, the new North American champion. She's backstage. She's asked about her title victory. She says, I make history when I step in the ring here, and I'm staying. I'm not leaving yet because I need to watch the main event with Giulia. So Stephanie Vaquer making it clear that, hey, wrestlers, don't leave after your match. You should probably stick around and watch the rest of the show. So as we will see. We see Roxanne and Giulia split screen here, getting ready for that main event in just a little bit. But we go to our next match. It is the NXT World Title, the champion, the ruler, Oba Femi, taking on A-Town Down Under in a triple threat match. Not a handicap match, but a triple threat match. Grayson Waller, Austin Theory, Oba Femi for the NXT Championship. Yes, so you heard us moaning about how the men's division is going in NXT. Well, this is the world title match, and it's not main eventing. But we have Oba Femi taking on both of these guys, and I don't know. We talked about how maybe Waller was getting influenced by Shawn Michaels because of that triple threat match with Triple H and John Cena, where Shawn starts the match by just super kicking Triple H out of it, shocking everyone. Waller had posted the other day tape studying and like put that picture of that match right before that happens. So that wasn't the case because they just end up attacking Oba Femi, and it doesn't last very long because Oba now just starts shoving them away and swatting them away like King Kong here. Eventually there's steps set up and Waller DDTs Oba onto the steps. I think it's Vic who stops himself by saying like, wouldn't that hurt him? Never mind. Because he's like falling backwards onto these steps. But this allows...
You got to take punishment to give punishment, though.
Exactly.
You know, a back bump versus a head to the steel, like, got to do what you got to do.
It's not enough to keep him down, so Oba gets up, and there's a chair now set up, like folded, set up in the ring, and Waller goes for something, but gets caught with a sidewalk slam through the chair, like really gets dented here. And then somehow Theory has Oba up on his shoulders, and it's Waller who like jumps off the top, so they all kind of come crashing down. But Austin Theory, I don't know if he was doing the knee wobble on purpose or was just selling that Oba Femi is a big dude, but he had him up on those shoulders for a little bit there. That was very impressive. It was looking like they were trying to hit a double team, but Oba in the last minute like also grabs Waller. So then they all go crashing down in the Tower of Doom. Eventually they set up a table and they send Oba through it with the Waller baller elbow. But while Waller is like selling the injury, going through the table, Theory rolls Oba in and tries to get the pin. And Waller's like, yo, like I did all the damage and you're trying to get the title. And he's like, oh, no, it's not like that. So there's some tension here. Eventually, there's a powerbomb throw from Oba to Waller through the commentator desk as it goes breaking down here. And then Oba is just punching the chair away. There's the A-Town down. 1, 2, but Waller, back from the dead, pulls the referee out, and Theory is furious. He's like, hey, bro, you just costed me the title. Like, I thought we're boys. One of us was going to win it, and I had it, and you're the one who costed me. And he's like, no, it's not like that. He sets up for the stunner, so he leaves the ring to go into the ring, but oh no. My friend got pushed into the way, so therefore me in midair rolling into the ring, I accidentally stunner my best friend. Damn, I hate when that happens. So Oba then picks him up and fall from grace powerbomb. 1, 2, 3. Oba Femi shockingly retains the NXT title in 13 minutes, 13 seconds. But Davey, just know that I would never roll into the ring and hit you with a stunner. I would know that it would be you and not the other person I was trying to do it to. Just making that clear.
Fair enough. You better not. You better not now. I don't want any,
no stunners.
In a bar and you just roll into the bar and hit me with a stunner thinking it's
someone else. Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought it was someone else.
This kind of was exactly what I thought it was going to be. And that's, no question who's winning this match and therefore lacking in a bit of drama that way. But still some fun stuff. And I thought all three guys worked pretty hard. And it's Big Time Baxter in the chat's pointing out that the crowds recently have been pretty into Austin Theory. And I think there is something to that relationship that's been interesting with just Grayson basically being more of a prick than Theory. They're both pricks, but Waller is the bigger prick. And therefore you kind of feel a bit sorry for Theory in the process. So I thought there was some cool stuff in the match. I thought they played off the tension between Theory and Waller like quite well. It wasn't as heavy-handed as it has been in some of these, 2-on-1 handicap world title matches. Like I thought they balanced it quite well. I'm still a bit baffled by why this was a match on the show, but I actually think in execution, I had fun watching it.
It was exactly what we said it was going to be. It's like, this is not the most exciting matchup. It's not the most like, you know right away. Okay, Oba's retaining. Yeah, we know. But we knew that it would just be these two guys flying around, getting thrown around, hitting all of the moves, spamming all that thing. It was fine. It was pretty fun, but there was at no point that we thought Austin Theory or Grayson Waller were going to win. And that's okay. It's just, again, a showcasing a little bit that like we're lacking something in the men's division that we had to bring down a like mid-card tag team to feud together over the NXT title. So it was just a lazy, like I could not care about this match, but at the end of it, I thought they had some fun stuff in it. And we kind of said that was probably what was going to happen. So it was fine.
In the chat, and I'm a little kind of torn here. Baxter saying, I think HBK has really helped give both guys the proper time and attention to tell their kind of breakup story. It's one of those things where I do like both these guys. I like Theory. I like Waller. I see potential in both of them. But with the amount of talent on all three rosters, like, do we need to be seeing this? Like, do they kind of are they on the level of some of these other guys? And it's therefore, like, if you do break them up, where are they going to go? Have you got big plans for either as a singles guy? And I'm not sure you do. So whether you want to just move them back down semi-permanently to NXT to tell that story, or just have them as a tag team similar to Fraser and Axiom, where we just constantly tease a breakup and it never really comes into fruition. I don't know. I don't really see what's next for these two guys in the company, which is kind of a shame, because I do think they're talented, especially Waller with the mic, but they're just kind of in this sort of weird limbo state, I'd say.
Yeah, I don't even hate them. Yeah, like I love to hate them. I think they're like a very fun heel tag team, especially Waller, from on screen to social media to everything. Like, he just gets it. I think both of them, like, again, they're fine, and I like them as a tag team. I wouldn't split them up. Actually, I would continue to like go with this. Just like, why were they brought down to have a title match that, like, they knew this can't be the main event? Like, look at this. We can't put this as the main event. A triple threat between Oba, a guy who you know will not lose. You might as well just say it. He's not losing against these two guys. And I'm like thinking, like, is there not anyone else we could have brought down for like a bigger spotlight? No one really comes to mind. Other, like, these two were already in NXT. They never won the title, and that was kind of the story they were explaining in the few weeks that we got. But lazy is what I got from this. Like, let's just throw a tag team against Oba. It's like, really? Like, execution, fun match, but I can't say at the end of the year everyone will be like, oh yeah, that was, up there or anything like that. But it was fine. It was fine. Oba retains. Now, before we go into the main event, where do you see with the whole thing with Ricky Starks, Trick losing? Like, is Stand and Deliver still Trick versus Oba? Is Trick losing in a sleazy way, I guess, from Eddy, a way to distract and to keep him busy until we can get to like more promotion for Stand and Deliver? Because we now have that roadblock at MSG Theater in March, and I think that could be like Oba versus someone else, and then it sets up for Trick. And
yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I guess you do Eddy Trick again for Trick to get his win back. I do see Oba and Trick. And you could always do, if Trick has been on a bit of this losing streak and Oba's like, why do you think you deserve it? Do the whole, well, if I don't win this match, I will leave NXT. And that could be his write-off to main roster. I do still think that's the main thing. I think you could get Ricky Starks in a big kind of featured, like, second from top match. We often see NXT like to do these, don't call them a number one contender match on the takeovers, which is basically the singles match for no belt between two top stars, and that normally is the direction they go to next. I see that being the case with Ricky, and you can have Ricky win the title in whatever PLE we have coming after Stand and Deliver. Oh,
we need something. Like, Ricky is a great first step, but we need something to switch up. I could not justify watching the NXT World Title picture being Grayson Waller in Theory. All respect to them. I just really hate that stunner. Least favorite. We're gonna play 2K. I'm gonna give it to my guy. That's how much I hate that move. I miss create a finisher. They got rid of that, right? Because I would do the roll into like a roll back out of the ring, then a roll back into the ring. That's definitely something I would like to do. After this match, though, Oba Femi standing tall with the NXT title in hand when the lights go out. Sierra, Hotel, India, something else. The Shield is back. However, it's not the Shield, but they're all wearing the face masks, and they attack Oba Femi here. And the reason I keep calling them the Shield is because they're dressed like the Shield. They're wearing face masks like the Shield, and they even do the Shield bomb. This was like a tossed Shield bomb.
It was kind of a cool Shield bomb, though, like making use of the four of them, especially on a guy the size of Oba Femi, to be able to toss him into it. But yeah, like, look at them. They're all in black. They've got the the face masks on, like the Shield used to wear for some of their entrances. It's very Shield-esque. Like the crowd didn't take to it too well on this show. There were like the "Who are you" chants, which is kind of condescending. Like they have been building up this group, but it is a fact whereas on the main roster, you can, whenever you build up these kind of angles, it ends up being a payoff with people you do know, like people being repackaged or brought back or debuting from elsewhere. That isn't the case with these guys. The most recognizable guy is Dion Lennox, who has mainly been stuck in storylines about reading books.
And wearing
so, yeah, like I get it, but sometimes the proof will be in like how they're booked and how they look in ring. So we've been saying we do need more male talent if this is 4 guys that they do see something in, and to inject a bit of energy into this men's division. I hope it works. We really can't judge on just a beatdown. Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of in the middle with it. It didn't blow me away. I didn't hate it. It was just there, and we'll see where it goes next.
Yeah, it's very Shield similar, the way they look, the way they did it, but like that is like a blueprint of like a stable debuting is like, hey, some vignettes, even if that, and then we appear from the crowd, the lights are out, we're wearing some face masks, but like we kind of know who these people are and they're taking over essentially. It's like done over and over again, but the power bomb was like the Shield one, but it was like what is the Spirit Squad move? The high spirits, where you all lift the guy up and then they catch him. But this was like mixing the Shield and the Spirit Squad finisher together. So, first like glance at it, I watch NXT, so I'm like, okay, there's a bunch of like level up guys in Dion Lennox. So I'm not like super excited about it right off the bat, but I am interested to see where this goes. So
now, I wonder if they have a leader. Is it Dion Lennox, as he's the guy we know the most about?
He reads, so he's the smartest.
Or whether there's like a higher power. There's someone in charge of these 4, you know? We've seen them attack the tag champion. So which of these 4 are going to be the tag team?
Right.
To take out FRAXIOM. And we've seen them take out the NXT champion. So which guy are we positioning as the singles guy? And where does that leave the 4th guy? Do they go in the North American picture or Heritage Cup or whatever? Like, I'm curious to see, like, what they do with that. Who is the tag team? Who's the singles? Who's the leader? Are there any other people going to be joining?
I'm sure we'll hear from them, or maybe they do a few more attacks in the like near future, right? So again,
like, do you have them take out Ricky Starks? In that contract signing, that would be in a way a bigger move than taking out Oba Femi, I would say.
Yeah, like do more attacks like this, and then eventually reveal if they are working with someone, if they're whatever. Like, I hope it's not just copy paste of the Shield, but we'll see. And again, their names are Cutler James, Dion Lennox, Saquon Sugars, and Osiris Griffin. So.
And we're being reminded that last time we saw Dion Lennox, he confronted Oba Femi, and Oba Femi kind of rolled his eyes at him and dismissed him. So
yes,
there is a connection there.
Yes, that he was dismissed. NXT loves to do that because the Eddy Thorpe video, they're like, hey, look, Eddy was asking Ava for time for months and she never did it. And that's why he turned heel. It's like, oh, yes. Okay,
long-term storytelling.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right. So, yes, don't call them the Shield, but message sent as the tweets that they have put out. Because, again, they started with the like TV static viral thing. So I'm sure we'll find out their name very, very soon. We get a commercial for Stand and Deliver Saturday, April 19th, 2 p.m. Eastern time. That's right. This show is at 2 p.m., probably goes to about 4:30, 5 p.m., and then it gives you about an hour or so to watch WrestleMania. Wow. It's going to be a hell of a day. Oh, boy. 2 p.m. Good stuff. Hey, better than 12, except maybe if you're there, because then it is 12, right?
Yeah.
Is that how it works? Okay. So Hangover, Hair of the Dog, all that stuff. Stand and Deliver, Hair of the Dog. That's what it should be called. We go to Sarah Schreiber, backstage interviewer here with our GM, the final boss, Ava. And this had me rolling here. This was a highlight of the show for me here, Davey. Sarah Schreiber. Hey, Ava, the GM of NXT. So what's going on? Your champion was just attacked by 4 masked men. Yeah. I don't know anything about that. I'll figure about that later on. Anyways, I got to talk about TNA with Santino. What? She literally set you up to be like, yo, like Femi just got beat up. Like, what's going on? People are getting attacked tonight. She's like, no, I'm busy. I haven't dealt with any of that. Oh, Santino. Hello. Yes, we need to, I think, brainstorm some ideas with TNA. It's like, no, you should probably figure out who the 4 masked dudes are attacking your talent. But I digress. This was baffling to me. So anyways, she's here. She's being interviewed. She says that NXT will be in Cincinnati in 2 weeks in Ohio. She's very excited. She knows Lexis King will be on the show because she's texted him 23 times. She plugs Roadblock, and then
he's texted her 23
Yeah,
times.
sorry. He was texting her because he was like, hey, I'm from there. I want to be on the show. When Ariana Grace returns here, Miss NXT returns to NXT, back from her trip to TNA.
The liaison
Excursion.
NXT TNA liaison.
Yeah, the excursion to TNA. And she's back, and she's brought a friend. In comes Santino Marella, who in great Santino running gag fashion here mispronounces Ava's name by calling her Ava. Oh, hello, Ava, as he always used to mess up pronouncing people's names. We get a big Santino chant here. I realize he's wearing a detective or like police badge. He says that he is the director at TNA of something. And they start kind of going back and forth, Ariana and Santino, when Ava is like, you two kind of, never mind. I think she was going to say, you two are kind of alike. There's something about you two that are very, very similar. Santino says that he has lots of ideas for cross promotion with TNA and NXT. And Ava says, yeah, I don't care about my champions being attacked by masked hooded men. Let's go talk about some TNA shit. And they walk off to go discuss TNA. It was great to see Santino. I love him.
I get it though. Sometimes you're busy, you're working, it's a big day, and then something screws up, and you're like, at this point, that's Monday's problem. Like it's Friday, I've been working my ass off all day, I've got this, and this done. I'll deal with that next week.
Yeah. It was fine. I like seeing Ariana and Santino together. They're very funny. We like Canadian talent here. It's great to see them on screen together. I genuinely was like, really, that's the best story we can come up with, when the story tonight is these guys are attacking people, and she literally says, I don't know, I don't have time for that. It's like, oh, okay, all right. Main event time. Fatal 4-way for the NXT Women's Championship. The champion Giulia putting the title on the line against Roxanne Perez, Bayley, and Cora Jade here in a main event. Roxanne makes her entrance here, and they mention on commentary that Roxanne now passes Asuka in NXT PLE appearances.
Crazy.
Isn't that crazy? That's very, very crazy. This starts off with all 4 in the ring. Bayley hot off her all-star basketball appearance. I didn't hear anything coming out of it how well she did, so I'm assuming she didn't do very well considering no one was talking about it. I was like, oh, I'm interested.
I mean, everyone was watching Canada USA, I think.
Fair.
Anyway,
so this starts off with all 4 women, Cora, Bayley, Roxanne, and Giulia. They all keep trying to do different pinning attempts on each other. There was some cool attempts from Giulia trying to wrap up and stack up Roxanne and Cora at the same time. Eventually, though, it's Bayley and Bayley and Roxanne who hit in stereo topes to the outside and then kind of stare at each other like, oh, it's you again. So they start to fight back and forth, but then Cora comes in, and every time they tease that like there might be some tension between Cora and Roxanne, they get interrupted, so they can't really go at it. Corey Graves with a great throwback here, mentioning that Roxanne says she's going to take the old member of the 4 horsewomen out to the glue factory.
Yeah.
A classic horseman line there. Cora and Roxanne are finally like grappling at least, but again, Bayley and Giulia break it up. So they clearly don't want to fight each other. Roxanne hits this beautiful moonsault to Bayley for a near fall. And then they hit this like combo, like the the wheelbarrow into the cutter, and Corey is like, hey, that's the Meta Girls finisher, essentially there, shouting them out. Bayley then hits the Sasha Banks knees in the corner, like that move where she lays her out and then knees her drop down there. So definitely a shout out to her friend Mercedes. Then Bayley hits Cora and Roxy with the double in rope stunner there. Giulia's in and hits like a chicken wing, like side suplex. That was pretty innovative. And then Giulia runs at Bayley for the octopus stretch. Something kind of slips up. So then she goes for it a second time, does lock it in, and then somehow turns it into a crucifix bomb, but it's broken up. Giulia then has Roxanne in the ring and puts her into the STF, but then that's turned into the crossface from Roxanne. Some great back and forth. Bayley hitting the Victoria sidewalk slam on Cora. Again, it's broken up, but then on the outside, there's the double underhook DDT, but Cora rolls Bayley into pinner, but Roxanne breaks it up. So just like the same thing happening in the match before this, where they're a tag team and they're upset that neither of them can get the pin because the other keeps breaking this up. This is where Cora Jade just starts to scream. She's furious. She's like, you took this from me. You stole this from me. They all go up top, and eventually it's this huge Tower of Doom spot. Again, kind of like how we saw in the last match, where they all go crashing down, but no one can capitalize. We see the pop rocks from Roxanne on Bayley outside the ring, and then in the ring she hits it again, but this is blocked by Cora, getting her revenge on Roxanne, hits her with the double arm DDT, but while she goes for the pin, Giulia back in the ring runs at her with the arrivederci, really clocking her, and then picks her up and hits a not so dangerous looking one to Roxanne and hits the Northern Lights bomb. And Giulia retains the NXT Women's Championship in 18 minutes, 31 seconds in a pretty fun Fatal 4. What did you think of this?
Yeah, I've said this before, where I think whoever produces these multi-person matches in NXT does a great job, because these always deliver for me. Even if it's like, a match in general, I prefer singles matches. I feel they feel like higher stakes. They feel more personal. But from just entertainment value, this was like 18 minutes of just non-stop. There's action the whole time. I thought everyone looked good here. I thought Cora Jade really stepped it up in this match, and it was the best we've seen her look for ever, I think. I thought she looked very good in this match. And there were times I was kind of even biting that they could do a bit of a surprise title win for her. We've seen it before, Ethan Page winning at Heatwave. And the story going into this, where everyone kind of overlooking her, and especially Roxanne kind of going, well, she's never won a title, so she doesn't deserve to be here. That kind of thing. Maybe think, I wonder, because they gave her a lot in this match. Cool seeing Bayley mix it up with, Giulia and Cora. I imagine we're getting Bayley and Cora main roster. I think they're both in Elimination Chamber. I expect them both to be in Elimination Chamber. So I thought they looked good. Yeah, I couldn't fault the match. I'd say beforehand, similar to the men's triple threat, I didn't see anyone winning this except Giulia. During the match, they did a good job of making me think other outcomes could be a possibility. So for me, it was a good match for me. Yeah.
What did you like more, this one or the triple threat?
I preferred this.
Me too. It was very similar. Again, there was so many similar moves. You know what? You're right. Like the way they've been producing these multi-man or multi-person matches in NXT, and not just NXT. I think in like everything, like these matches have stepped up because they realize, hey, there's so many different things, different combinations that you can do with multiple people in the same match. So they've definitely stepped up. But I found there was so much of the same stuff that was just in the match beforehand. Like the Tower of Doom spot was set up the exact same way, and there's a similar.
I mean, stupid booking it for the same show, especially back to back on the show. Like it's why? Like one of these should have been a singles match, and then the other should have been the multi-person.
Like to have the big spot of the match being, hey, Waller just costed Theory the title, and then you do the exact same camera angles and everything. It's like it reminded me of the movie The Wrestler. Like, hey, you working the leg, brother? Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna work the arm.
100%. Yeah.
Like what? Like why would you do the exact same spots in the exact same match back to back? I thought that was like a little noticeable that like, hey, we're going to the well like a little too soon after just seeing it done there. But I thought this was the superior match. I kind of think the same thing. None of us thought that Giulia was going to lose it. I think they had more of a chance of her losing it than Femi losing it in his match. But I thought everyone played their part. There was good back and forth, lots of the crazy pinning combinations, lots of good stuff in between. It was really fun. My only gripe is I think I would have preferred like a one-on-one pay-per-view Roxanne versus Giulia, but we'll get that eventually one day. I think we will eventually get to like Roxanne and Bayley, maybe on the main roster, maybe for WrestleMania. I'm not quite sure, but I think doing so, you could set up a Cora mini feud with Roxanne. She could be the one that sends Roxanne packing from NXT because she cost her the title. She was screaming like, "You're my friend, but you costed me this." So like a few things can come out of this. I thought it was pretty fun. It was up between this and the tag match that I thought were the like highlights of the actual wrestling tonight on this show. But I think I'd give the tag match just a little bit more edge because in about half the time, it just felt like this like flurry of all this craziness. But I'm not knocking this one because I thought this was a pretty solid fatal 4-way match.
Yeah, I'd say probably the tag was my favorite, but I really enjoyed the women's North American title match as well. I thought wrestling wise, I thought a very strong show. Eddy, Thorpe, Trick Williams was definitely the weakest. I wouldn't say it was bad, but it definitely had pretty much no interest from me going into it, and I didn't think it particularly won me over. But everything else on the show I thought was pretty solid and an entertaining wrestling show.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I thought I got a lot of the wrestling delivered, and even though we kind of didn't have maybe some of the stories that were really like hitting or some of the drama that was maybe what they were aiming for, but just overall like didn't have the highest of expectations for this show, and it succeeded. That I think I kind of said at the beginning, like, hey, going into this, I thought, all right, let's get through this, and ended up being pleasantly surprised, as I'm usually with like PLEs, right? Like with the TV has not been the greatest. There's definitely some cherry picking that there is some good stuff, but FRAXIOM always on their game. Stephanie Vaquer taking the title, Giulia retaining. Like there's some good stuff going. Ricky Starks now entered into the mix. I'm feeling good about the road to stand and deliver. I hate when they say, what is it? Stand and deliver season. It rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? But we got Roadblock too. So there's some exciting things kind of in motion. Just off the top of your head, if you were to kind of book, whether it be like Roadblock and Stand and Deliver, where do you think we're going? Because you could go Vaquer versus Giulia, title v title. I don't know if that's necessarily the smart case, because I forgot about what happens here.
Yeah, I think we know where we're going. Yeah.
So Stephanie Vaquer comes out to celebrate with Giulia, and they're interrupted by the sirens. Here she comes, Jordynne Grace, wearing a "We Are NXT" t-shirt here. Jordynne Grace is NXT. She is here in WWE, and I mean, is that where we go with this stand and deliver main event? Will it be Jordynne Grace versus Giulia?
I think so. I think that's the biggest match. I think if you're looking to sell tickets to stand and deliver, I think that is a match that will get wrestling fans interested and will get wrestling fans interested and want to attend this event. I think it is the biggest match you can do. Roxanne's already moved up to the main roster, essentially. She's just kind of in that transition period, so I don't see her challenging for the title. And yeah, I guess Cora is the other one, which I think you could maybe do at Roadblock. It was Roxanne that took the pin, right?
Yes, it was Roxanne that took
the pin. So you could always have, heel logic, Cora being like, you didn't pin me. I think that could be a good setup match at Roadblock, Giulia versus Cora. It's a bit of a loose thread still going on. And then you have Jordynne and Giulia.
Yeah,
As for Vaquer, we've got the triple threat match, Kalani, Carmen, and Jada Parker. I think Jada Parker has the most steam right now, so I could see that for possibly Roadblock.
Yeah.
Before it, I'm not sure, Stephanie, for stand and deliver, where you'd go with her.
Yeah, there's a few, like, we're also going to get some call-ups. This could be like some goodbye matches for some people, but Giulia versus Jordynne Grace at Stand and Deliver definitely sounds like the match that we could go to. Stephanie teasing that she like wants to face her. I don't know if you'd go triple threat, but that would be pretty crazy. But like, again, a singles match. We did too many multi-person matches where I kind of want to go back to just a one-on-one, like encounter, especially if it's stand and deliver. But super excited to see Jordynne Grace. She looks super happy and excited to be in WWE. Someone I followed here. She was big deal on the Canadian independents and Ontario independents, and watching her like evolution as a wrestler through the indies, through TNA, and through now here, like super crazy to see her appear on WWE. It was awesome to see her in the Rumble the last few times and so forth. But I think she's going to knock it out the park here in NXT. And if you're not familiar with her game, like I think you're going to be in store for some powerhouse. What does she call herself? The Juggernaut? The Juggernaut, bitch. Yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing Giulia versus Jordynne. That is take my money, please.
Baxter bringing up that they really need to find a way to get Lola, Jada, and Soul back in the mix because they've struggled getting the spotlight with Vaquer and Giulia coming in. We say it all the time. Get those tag titles to NXT.
Yeah.
You've got so many more women who should be fighting for something, I think, in NXT than you do on the main roster. And I think it would help a lot of those people.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you'll see Sol Ruka and Zarya because they're going to take on Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson on Tuesday in the tag team match. So your favorite tag team in action there with the Soul Crushers. I guess we could go with that. That's my new, because I don't know what Zarya's character is yet. Maybe we'll find out on Tuesday. We got Ricky Starks, or if we're going to call him that, Ricky Stonks coming out and signing his contract. We got Stax versus Sean Spears, and then you said the Jada Parker, Kalani Jordan, and Carmen Petrovic triple threat match. So and then all the fallout from this show on Tuesday. So big show.
We do have some feedback on our Facebook group. We always throw up feedback on the Poisonrana Facebook group. If you want to join, search Poisonrana on Facebook. There's a page. It will lead you to our private group where we post fun things like feedback to get your thoughts in. Do you have the thread up, Braden? I
do, yes. I'm going to read the first one here from Cameron Gilbert, who writes in here. Show completely over-delivered. Steph v. Fallon was great. The tag match was match of the night. That tag match sold me on Briggs and Inamura becoming tag champs. They are going to get really over. The four-way was really good. I thought Cora stepped up. Jordynne Grace versus Giulia for stand and deliver will slap. The NXT title match over-delivered. If they split, I think a face theory run in NXT would really work. Only negative on a near-perfect show was Trick versus Eddy. Trick just isn't good in ring. Don't see the improvement from 2 years ago. And Starks coming in gives me hope we aren't just seeing Oba v Trick Mania weekend, because that would suck. Thank you for your reviews. You guys are great. Oh, thank you, Cameron.
You're great.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I mean, we love Trick, but like, there is a time when it's like, all right, can we move on? Like we have had him as champ twice, and it's like, hey, he could be on the main roster with Mello. Maybe that would work a whole lot better.
We go to Magan, who says, Vengeance Day was strongly bookended by 2 women's championship matches, and sandwiched in between was a men's roster that's trying to keep up. I knew I can count on Frazier and Axum to deliver, and they continued their streak of stellar matches, and Briggs and Inamura were great dance partners from a stylistic standpoint. Femi, while a theory did surpass any low expectations I had, the tension between A-Town Down Under fueled this match, and Oba looked like a killer by beating 2 men. The jury's out on this new crew's ceiling. I'm getting flashbacks to that Retribution dumpster fire. Javon Evans, Ethan Page was intense, and they had the right ending to continue this feud. NXT continues to flex their muscle when it comes to women's wrestling. Stephanie Vaquer conquered Fallon Henley and Fatal Influence single-handedly to claim the women's North American title. And before the peanut gallery cries foul, woman maketh title, not the other way round. Giulia, Bayley, Roxy, Cora was an outstanding 4-way, with Giulia firmly establishing herself as the new face of the roster by pinning the now former flag bearer. The post-match scene was even better, with her and Stephanie standing tall as the pillars to build the women's roster around, until I heard those siren sounds, word to Denzel Curry, as Jordynne Grace entered the picture. The roster had many bullets in the chamber, while the men's side are shooting blanks. Overall, a very strong show.
Very emotional feedback, as always, Megan. Thank you. And of course, Davie reading it. And finally, we go to Fire Frank, another one of our regular feedbackers, rising contributor, BDE champion. Fire Frank writes in, 2.5 hours flew by with an action-packed Vengeance Day. When the worst match of the night is best described as simply okay, you know it has been a good one. Loved both women's title matches and the tag title matches especially. But Paige and Evans was a really good hate-filled match without the need for a stip just yet. Javon showed great fire here. Oba being the monster that the two heels couldn't keep down in like a horror movie fashion was a lot of fun for me and over-delivered. The new group debuting has me intrigued. And it was great to see Santino and a great hot crowd. I think the tag match was my match of the night as FRAXIOM delivered again, and the show ended on a fun cliffhanger with grace. All in all, a home run of a PLE despite all of us not being super high on it coming in. Yes, very fair, Frank. Thank you, as always. Appreciate.
All on a similar page.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you have time to quickly talk a little bit about Grand Slam? Because we had a bit of a double bill last night of wrestling shows.
Yeah, we were working, and I had some Vengeance Day plans on Saturday, and then on top of that, they added like the big Grand Slam. That was the same Saturday, so we realized, hey, why not? We just wait kind of till today to talk about it. So as soon as I finished Vengeance Day, I was kind of trying to cram this all in today, and I did end up finishing it just before we went on to talk today. So I did watch Grand Slam, and I'm super thrilled. I got to shout out Dickie Bird, friend of ours, chop-tees.com, who was texting me during the show. He had some great seats down there, looking like an absolute boss. I should have took the picture he sent in. He looked like he was having a great time. Maybe not so much at Ring of Honor. He said that when Jericho's music hits, he hit the bar, but he sounded like he had a lot of fun, and it looked like a lot of fun. I know some people may have gotten screwed over, and was it a pay-per-view? Was it all this? But like at the end of the day, if everyone had fun and stuff, hopefully that was the case. It came across that way.
And then the very first thing we see on TV is a post wrestling sign as well. Row, which is pretty cool.
Very, very cool seeing the post wrestling sign on there, like front row, front and center there with that. So the love is real worldwide. I appreciate all the postmarks out there. But yeah, I did check this out. I did watch it. Like the card was pretty good, but mainly I had to check out Will Ospreay, Kenny Omega taking on the team of Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita. Love all four of these guys. These are my absolute like favorites to watch this year going strong. And we've seen the iterations of the singles matches between these guys, and I've loved every single one of them. And here we are in this like dream tag team match, if you will. And I thought this was absolutely great. I love when they start AEW shows, when they start the show with the match, you know, it's serious. They're like, get it out of the way. Everything else is just a little extra for you, because I felt like if you went to this show, you got your money's worth.
I think overall, just the feeling I had watching this show, and granted, I watched this on Triller. I didn't watch this on TV, so get the benefit of, you know, not having commercial breaks. The action goes right through. And with this show being, all it was matches. There were no like segments backstage or anything like that. To me, it felt like a pay-per-view. And especially, I thought the first half of this show felt really like a pay-per-view, starting with this match, which is pay-per-view level quality. I was, at times, I was going like, oh yeah, this is essentially Collision. Like, I forgot that, which I think was good. So despite the criticism, and I completely understand, we went to All In Wembley. Yeah. And I know we definitely had issues with the card going into that they didn't make too big a deal. I know the Aussies kind of felt the same way with the venue moves and, you know, being dicked around on like, is this on Max? Is this on pay-per-view? Is this on TV? Like, what kind of level of event are we seeing? I thought actually after watching this event, I'd have been satisfied going to this show. It felt like it felt like a pay-per-view put on TV, which felt quite special because of it. And kicking off with a match of this caliber, I just thought it was awesome. Like, all four of these guys are just so great to watch. Yeah. I loved this Aussie crowd getting behind Ospreay, which so obviously pisses off the Australian in this match. I thought all of that was great. And then seeing Ospreay and Kenny like work out what their tag moves are and finishing with a hidden blade, one-winged angel.
A one-winged hidden blade?
Yeah, what an awesome finisher. And then setting up the rubber match. You know, we're getting Ospreay and Fletcher at Revolution, I believe, and Takeshita and and Omega for the international title at Revolution. Like this match was unreal.
Yeah, I really love this match. This was the one I was looking forward to the most last night. And again, all four of these guys, my favorite to watch in ring, and they didn't pull no punches. Like Kenny, since coming back, is like added in the like, hey, I could die at any moment aspect in his, like, Danielson's since returning years and years ago now. Like, it was like, hey, this guy's, had so many serious injuries, and now Kenny is like playing into that so much more. But still just so much fun having the crowd boo, because everyone's like, oh shit, it's Kyle Fletcher, and then they're like, from Sydney, Australia, and then they're like, wait a second, no, fuck this guy. Fuck Sydney. And Ospreay just looked like he had the biggest grin, because they're boys and everything, but like, you're getting cheered like the hometown hero, like they're screaming for this guy, doing all his chants and everything, and this guy is like getting absolutely booed like the biggest villain. I thought that was just so special. Like, the crowd knew their position and their role, and they nailed it.
There were Kenny as well, and it's kind of like, when we see Danielson like tease having a fucking seizure or whatever in ring.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I'm not sure, because there were a couple of spots in this moment where could have been a quote unquote botch, or could have been deliberately done that to play with, or what kind of condition is Kenny in. There was one of the most devastating Poisonranas where
that was a
Kenny,
slip up
like,
for sure,
lands on his back and just spikes Takeshita.
I don't think he jumped up as high.
But kind of added to the excitement of this match to me, because as soon as they get up and they might be a little rocked, but they're fine, I can appreciate it. And I always think not everything has to look pretty. Like, I know it's you're cooperating as performers, but in a fight, you're not cooperating, and you should try to have that element of stuff at times. And I think these guys are good enough that when a slip up happens, they're able to capitalize on it and actually make it part of the match. Like, that move just looked terrifying.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Again, seeing like Takeshita, Fletcher has stepped up in a crazy way in the last year, and seeing Ospreay and Omega, who, like, we know, we were in Forbidden Door Toronto, these two, what is it, better and friends, better rivals, I'm not quite sure, but the other way around. But like, seeing these two as a tag team was pretty incredible, and Fletcher and Takeshita were the perfect opponents. And now they're saying that these two matches, it's Ospreay challenging Fletcher to a steel cage match at Revolution. Right, like, what? Some of the sequences between Ospreay and Fletcher are absolutely crazy. The powerbomb thing, that thing where he flips, like, I call it the Ospreay spot, because so many other wrestlers, we see so many people try to do it and emulate it, but they were going like bar for bar here. They were going band for band of like all these crazy counters to each other's moves. Again, knowing that they're like besties, like they're probably practicing, hey, what if we did this? Like, they come up with some of the, like, my brain can't wrap around how you would come up with some of these sequences, but at the end of the day, it left me like, wow, what a match. And then the promo to be like, yeah, we're also rematching the singles matches. It's like, what? Like, Revolution already is stacked with those two matches.
That cage match. Normally, I'm not a big lover of cage matches, but I think AEW have delivered on majority of them. And that Young Bucks Lucha Brothers match in the cage,
best of all time, probably.
When you've got people as creative as these two, it's like, okay, we're eliminating the whole outside of the ring, which also eliminates some of your flying and stuff like that. That's when these people get even more creative, and that's when you get magic. And we got that in that tag match, and I completely believe that these two can deliver on that as well.
Yeah, so like Ospreay challenging Fletcher to a steel cage match, and then, I mean, if that's not enough for you, the greatest wrestler walking this earth will be wrestling at Revolution. Big Boom AJ versus To Be Determined, also announced for Revolution.
These guys are still a thing.
Oh boy, they're not stopping. They're not stopping. The best match of the year so far was Big Boom AJ trying to get Guy Fieri to do one of their Boom videos, and he was just like, I don't know what's going on. You guys are crazy. He hit them with the real life. Wow, that's crazy. You know, when you're in a conversation and someone just keeps talking, you're like, wow, that's crazy. He did that with them. Maybe that's the match. Guy Fieri versus Big Boom AJ at Revolution. That would fill it. Kenny Omega versus Takeshita. Yeah, rematch that back, please. The streets need it. Kenny should take that title from him. Like, why not?
Yep, and then unify it with Okada at All In.
Hey, there we go. Look at us.
There we go. Look at us booking.
Yeah,
they'll make a third title out of it somehow, probably. But
that's definitely the direction. Like Omega, Takeshita, and then Omega, Okada for the stadium show in Texas. So like, yeah, I really love this tag team match. I'm sure people will be talking about it the next little while. It really delivered for me. Like one of the better matches already this early in the year of just these two going at it, and sold me on the two match. I don't care what else ever. I mean, I do, because the Costco guys will be there, but having these two matches added to this pay-per-view, like already Revolution 2024, we were there, maybe the best show I've been to. And a year later already, people are like, oh, that was such a good show still. And a year later, they're loading this card up because it's got Ospreay, Fletcher, Moxley versus Cope, and then Omega versus Takeshita. That's a pretty solid lineup already, and I'm sure we'll get some more stuff there. But yeah, one-winged hidden blade combo. I need to see that again down the line.
Dirty.
Yeah.
We also had Mercedes Moné defeating Harley Cameron for the TBS Championship.
Harley, man, like what a crazy thing in wrestling. Like an overnight success, but it doesn't take overnight. It takes a long time. She's been like doing the comedy bits all over the place, doing all these different things. And look how popular she has gotten, to the point where a puppet is like the most over thing in wrestling.
Her promo on Dynamite was one of my favorite promos I've seen for a while, where she went from the rap, which she does very well, the comedy rap kind of thing, and then cuts a serious promo where she's saying, yes, I am new to this, but I was once new to ventriloquism, to rapping, to singing, to dancing, to speaking Chinese, and I'm pretty good at all those things. I pick things up very quickly. I thought that was such a great line of just establishing, I'm a rookie, but it doesn't take me long to be an expert at something. And I think I haven't watched a whole load of Harley Cameron matches. A lot were on, Rampage or Collision, which I didn't always catch all the time. But her improvement has been pretty drastic in ring, where I don't think she looks bad at all. And I thought she had a pretty entertaining match with Mercedes. I thought at times they did a bit too much comedy with the puppet and stuff, which I could have maybe done without. I like keeping that kind of separate from the actual.
But it was the biggest pop in the show.
But it got a huge pop.
It's the biggest pop in the whole show.
So I thought this, as I mentioned last week on Poison Rana, I think it's brought out the best of Mercedes as well. Just having a great baby face to be a great heel against. I think this whole feud has been a win all round. And this isn't the time to strap up Harley Cameron. But if she continues on this trajectory, she could be the women's champion next year.
Yeah, absolutely. She's definitely stepped up. Like she's mixed in a good bit of the comedy and just having a character that's being a bit out there, a bit outside the box. She started with having like silly one-liners and stuff over the last few years, but really stepped it up. Again, like she came out, they're like, hey, Australia's own, big reaction. Toni Storm got a big reaction. Ospreay Omega, huge reaction. But I swear, when she pulled out that puppet, Brisbane got fucking nuts for this thing. So, of course, they probably won't sell it on AEW shop, but like,
I imagine these are pretty expensive to make.
They are.
These are like Jim Henson-esque, like Sesame Street Muppet.
The toy store I always go to in New York, the one from Big. What's that one called? They do it there.
JC, no, it's some initials. Right?
Yeah, I go there every time. It's such a wonderful store, and they do that there for about like $100 to $200. You can make your own puppet. Wow. They make it for you and make it look like you and everything. So like, this could be
$200. I do it for $200.
It used to be cheaper. Yeah, I like this. Pretty decent. I feel like this is something you could do against all your opponents. Like, you don't want to run its course and like overplay it, but it is something we haven't seen in wrestling where someone makes like a puppet version of you is pretty funny.
I loved all the match graphics going around as well.
Yeah,
Harley
so
versus the puppet. Like,
what did they call it? Mini Monet? Yeah. Oh man, brilliant. And on top of that, she hit I'll call it this Aussie Destroyer.
Yeah.
So, very nice, Harley. Very, very nice. You know what? I think Mercedes came into AEW and we were also like pretty negative on her. It wasn't the most impressive debut outside of WWE, talking about Tokyo Dome and AEW to start. But in the like last few months of 2024 and already kicking off 2025, I think it's turned around for me.
She's hitting her stride for sure.
She's finally like really on this run that we were waiting for. So really
We've got to do Mercedes and Tony at All In. I think like that's the biggest match you can book at this point, and should deliver as well.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty fun. What else was on this show? We had
the Brisbane Brawl.
Oh yeah,
between with Jay White and Cope taking on the Death Riders.
Yeah. This was pretty fun. I mean, this was all to set up for the pay-per-view, which is announced that it will be Mox v Cope at Revolution. There were some things like the crowd singing along to to Cope. You could tell he was getting pretty emotional there and was like, oh man, this is pretty cool. He said this is probably the last time he'll be wrestling in Australia, considering he's kind of winding down his career. Don't say that when you have a world title match coming up, Cope, please. I know, what did he say on Dynamite? Like, I don't care about this title or something.
I don't care.
A lot of people
I'll show you what I think the AEW championship.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we haven't seen it for months because it's literally been held hostage. So whatever. But Cope and Jay White, there was some cool spots in this, and then ended up with the choke and everything. So it's just adding some fuel to that.
And they tried to murder Cope at the end.
More murder.
I enjoyed parts of this. I thought I actually really liked the spear through the table from Cope. I thought that looked good. There was some good stuff. There was one spot though that I was like, why are you doing this? And that was Cope jumping off the balcony with a double axe. And this guy broke his leg last time he jumped off something. And that was because he landed feet first. He didn't do like the high cross or anything like that, or take a, back bump through the table. He landed foot first and his leg shattered.
Yeah.
And now he's doing it off a balcony with a double axe, which just looks like shit. So the risk reward ratio here was just, it wasn't worth doing this. Like, I thought he was going to do like a crossbody or whatever and get caught. And he just comes off with the boom, and it didn't look good. And the risk of this guy breaking his tibia.
I was scratching my head at that. Yeah, I was like, wait a second. Like, the crowd was so loud, and that's probably why he jumped. I feel like he wasn't going to. I feel like maybe he wasn't planning on doing that because they were so loud, and then he's just like, oh shit, I have to do something now because they think I'm gonna jump. And then he did that, and it was like, oh, it was a little underwhelming. They chanted holy shit after the fact, but I'm hoping you don't injure yourself again because you just came back from an injury doing something kind of similar. But this was more of like some big spots to set up like heat between the feud. So
finish weird though. The fact that Mox is like, no, I'm not facing you to Cope, and then he beats him, and it's Cope he beats as well. I found a little odd. I thought you could have had, Cope get the win here, and then the Death Riders take him out if you want to do that. But little weird end there. But I didn't hate this match, but this was kind of matched my expectations. I'm not enjoying the Death Riders thing at all. I can't say I'm particularly enjoying Cope in this position. I preferred seeing him just mixing up with the younger guys, what he was doing pre-injury. I thought that was way more fun than this. So the AEW title picture is still like the weakest thing of AEW for me right now.
Yeah. I'm not too into this Death Riders thing, and it's almost like, do you just pivot and give it to Cope? But then, like, where do you go with that? Do you go with Christian? And like, I'm just not sure. Does Cope need that right now? Could that help other people? Like, we have other characters that have been champion before that could easily be champion right now and would be doing a whole lot better. I'm referring to MJF, Swerve, Kenny Omega. Will Ospreay's never won the title, but like, we could go that route eventually. Like, there's a few other bigger stories and characters that just seem a bit more interesting. I mean, you watch this crowd are really hot for everything on this show. So it's like, hey, Mox and Cope are still like big names to some people. It's just maybe this story is not the most riveting. And then inserting Cope is just like, it's a bit of a like WWE retread, but like, it's not my favorite part.
It's funny. Everyone says that, but they were never in WWE at the same time together. It's or at least when Edge was active.
Right.
One last thing on that. I thought Jay White's Blade Runner to Utah was incredibly crisp.
Right.
How he caught and slamming that. I thought that looked very good.
Was it crap? What's his name? Wheeler Yuta I saw pictures of him holding koala bears.
Koala.
Do they just do that every time you go to Australia? You just get off the plane and you go to a zoo and you hang out with
I guess so.
koala bears.
I guess so.
Jay White is what, New Zealand?
Yes.
So he's close enough because they were cheering him a little bit,
Yeah.
but they didn't say from New Zealand during his entrance, which I thought was a weird, like, hey, wouldn't you milk that a little bit? But I guess it's not close enough to Australia. So I don't know, like, would you give Cope the title at this point? Just fuck it, like, do something different.
Like, as I said on last week's Poisonrana, I think you could, if you're having MJF be a kind of legend killer, you could have a very short reign with Cope to get it onto MJF, and then that opens up, Hangman chasing MJF. You could do Swerve MJF. I think there's a whole lot more you could do with that, because I don't want to wait till Darby to hopefully climb this mountain.
Yeah, if that's the end game, it's like, really, your main event of All In's going to be Darby Mox with you've killed this title scene with this story, as far as I'm concerned. But
then we had Kazuchika Okada defending the Continental Championship against local boy Buddy Matthews.
Yes, great gear here. Very similar to what Rhea Ripley wore at Elimination Chamber in Australia. So they must have got these made together. Great matching set there. So he's Australia's own, so he got a pretty big reaction here. But I loved Okada's lasers. Yeah, we got AEW. Oh, AEW's fumbling Okada. Yeah, well, we got Okada with freaking laser beams attached to him because this entrance needs to stay. I know he got the Cody Vader, the Okada Vader, but now he's got this like laser thing. I thought this was pretty sick. So they're like, no, we need to make Okada special again. Yeah, we need to bring back that aura that he had kind of before he got here. Yeah, what can we do? I don't know. Add some lasers. It worked for me. So they looked sick. The budget was high, but a lot higher budget on these lasers than Josh Briggs' skull that we saw.
Yeah, I thought the match was good. It didn't get to the level that I thought it could get. Okada still, he's great in ring, but we've seen him be the best in the world in ring, and I'm still not really getting that from him. And I don't think there was as much as Buddy Matthews, he's from Australia, could be a cool moment. They weren't going to put the title on him. I thought this was fine. I actually felt kind of the first two matches of this show really felt like pay-per-view level from the buzz from this crowd and all that. And it was kind of actually towards the tail end where that it felt a bit more like a big Dynamite for me. And which it was good, fine match, but it didn't kind of captivate me, I'd say.
I felt like a good TV match. They had some cool spot, like him hitting the Rainmaker and Buddy kicking out of it. It was a pretty big deal and got the crowd like really reacting and everything. And then you had Okada kick out of his move, the stomp too. So it had some good stuff in the final stretch, but definitely felt like not a pay-per-view level lengthy match. But I'm loving Buddy, like with this whole thing with Malachi leaving AEW. This opens up and like this guy's been a pretty fun like side character, not just in AEW but in WWE. So to see him get some shine, like he's pretty good every time he wrestles. Like this wasn't like my match of the night or anything like that, but at the same time I'm like, oh, he's pretty entertaining and pretty polished. I did notice that he kind of slipped on his entrance, and like I don't know if it had something to do with this ring that they had that we didn't bring up to that yet. I saw different reports, so I'm not quite sure, but this ring looked like it was holding on for dear life. This ring,
18-foot ring, right?
This ring looked like the poles were like bending a little bit inwards. Like it looked scary every time someone was doing some sort of springboard maneuver. In fact, during the Kenny Ospreay match, I was a little worried, like, yo, these guys are gonna get hurt. But it looked like during his entrance, he jumped down and like almost like hurt his ankle or something. But he continued the match and looked fine in that, so I don't know if there's anything to come off of that. But yeah, it looked like they had the ring brought in from somewhere else, and maybe it just didn't fit the way they thought, because it looked like the ropes made it bend. When you get, you got to ever get a ring as a kid, like a toy ring, and maybe you tied the ropes just a little too tight, so the posts are all like bending a little bit. That's what it looked like on this. But I thought that was pretty fun. Okada versus Omega is definitely the direction we're going to, so I guess we'll have to wait for that one. And then we had our main event, Timeless Toni Storm taking on Mariah May in a rematch for the AEW Women's World Championship. I loved Renee Paquette's video voiceover thing. Did you hear this? She's like describing it like a movie trailer or something like that. And then the poster as well is like this like old school movie poster. I thought it looked pretty epic, and great job, Renee, for voicing over, especially the like putting it into our minds like, hey, was Toni doing this on purpose, or what is she actually just crazy? Kind of, was she just going through a mental thing, or like was she fucking with us the whole time? I like that aspect.
I think I've been into this story. I think they've managed to keep it captivating for quite a long time. You know, this started like beginning of the summer last year, and it's still going, and it doesn't look like it's finished yet. I liked it. I didn't get into this anywhere near as I did the Wembley match, which I just felt more heated. Yeah. But I think these two have good chemistry, and I think Toni brings the best out of Mariah May, and vice versa. Wasn't shocked with the finish. I think everyone expected this, especially with Harley and Buddy not winning their matches. You needed Toni to win this and send the crowd home happy. But now it's kind of one apiece. I like that Mariah won in London, Toni won in Australia. I assume we'll get the rubber match at Revolution. But yeah, I thought this was good, but I didn't like this as much as their first match, which was one of my highlights of All In last year.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I thought it had some good stuff in it, but it didn't maybe get to that level. And then I thought the finish kind of came out of nowhere. Having like this, like having the hometown hero win with a roll up was just like, oh, okay, a little shocking. I think the crowd wasn't ready for it yet. It was like, oh, we know it's coming, but like, oh, wait, oh, okay. Well, we're still happy, but like, you should have just hit your move there. So I think we will get this rematched at Revolution. I think that's safe to say.
Yeah.
Right? Like what you mentioned, 1-1, we need to have the rubber match. And then if we are going to All In, I could see Toni versus Mercedes. That is our next biggest match you could potentially do here in AEW. So it makes the most sense. But overall, I enjoyed this Grand Slam show. Again, I know some of you Aussies out there, maybe you got scammed because you paid a lot of money and then they were giving out 2-for-1s or deals and stuff like that. They do that everywhere, and other companies do that. Concerts do that. It's kind of normal. They downsized. It happened. I'm sure I'd be pretty pissed too, but we usually wait closer to before we buy tickets. So, yeah, I understand.
Yeah, like that's just the nature of the beast, as you say. Like it happens. It happened to me with that Rampage in Toronto. You know,
right? That's right.
But I do think I get the feeling this crowd like enjoyed it by the end of the day. Like I thought it was a pretty solid show. Thought a really solid night of wrestling. I really enjoyed both shows. Didn't feel like I wasted my time, which, you know, it's coming up to 7 p.m. on a Sunday, and I've pretty much been up all day watching these shows and recording, and I don't regret it. I had a good time. I thought both delivered.
Yeah, both shows were awesome. NXT definitely over-delivered. My excitement going into Vengeance Day was pretty low, and not too into the Grand Slam outside that like tag match. But I thought both shows were great. Out of both shows, I liked the tag matches on each show. Like the tag match from Vengeance Day and the tag match from Grand Slam here were my highlights from each show. Not as good though as the match I saw some clips of on Twitter from DDT Tokyo Joshi Pro, with Minoru Suzuki being a ticket collector / referee on the bullet train, as they had a match on a bullet train yesterday, which looked absolutely insane. So that looks like something I might have to check out later tonight, because those things are ridiculous. But to that, would we watch the subway one like last year?
Last year, yeah, with Meiko Satomura doing karaoke, and
at first I thought it was on a
think
flight.
it's Suzuki is the ticket collector this time.
No,
isn't
it's Suzuki is the ticket collector in this new one.
This time, yeah, and it was Liger last year.
It's Liger. I need DDT to do the water park match. Bring that back, because the water park match is watch the highlights on YouTube. Fantastic stuff. But yeah, a great weekend of wrestling. I did check out some clips of some of the stuff from SmackDown. Are we getting Sammy versus Kevin? Like,
yes.
Are we getting a match, or are we getting an angle at the pay-per-view? I'm a little worried.
I think we're getting the match. I think we're getting the match. And Yeah, because I do see it being Kevin and Randy at Mania. And
what's Sammy's opponent at WrestleMania?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you do with Sammy. You'd have to kind of heat up something pretty quick. I don't know. Yeah. But yes, we can talk more about WWE on Tuesday. I think my internet's starting to crap out. So
yes.
Let's try and get out of here before everything goes to hell.
Absolutely. Appreciate everyone in the chat today joining us live. We go live every Tuesday night, 10:05 p.m. here at Post Wrestling. We also go live on Sundays on Poisonrana. So search Poisonrana in your podcast app or on YouTube or social media. Give us a follow there, especially our Instagram at PoisonRanaPod for updates of all the other stuff that we do. I mentioned we have a patreon.com/Poisonrana. $5 a month gets you our Rumble 02 review, our Champ is Here episode 6 review, our review of Godfather Part 2 coming out this week, WrestleMania 18, so much shows. And Tuesday, I'm recording a show with John Pollock and Jordan Goodman, and it is our SNL 50 podcast, where we'll be looking at the best of SNL over 50 years worth of stuff and sketches and everything. So I have a feedback thread up on the Patreon and Facebook group. Get your feedback in. Would love to hear your favorites and stuff, because we will be talking all about Saturday Night Live on Tuesday for both Patreons there. So an extra bonus show, but appreciate everyone out there. As always, we can't do this without you. Thank you, NXT friends. Appreciate you.
We do.
At Poisonrana Pod, like I said, go give us a follow. I am at the Brady on all socials.
Yes, find me on Blue Sky at davie.poisonrana.ca or at Davie Portman everywhere else.
Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Vengeance Day. And shout out Josh Briggs' skull.
Ahoy!